Hey, what's up, everybody? Mogi Monster here, and welcome to Why the Fascination, or WTF, as I like to call it. Hope everybody's doing really good tonight. Having a good week so far. It's great to see everybody in chat. Jay, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Ida Bustamante. Hey, Jen, how's it going? Let me move this computer over so I'm not looking so far over to the left or right, whichever kind. Gary Johnson, how's it going? Hey, Tracy Benna, what's up? Miss, who was that? I got to get used to. I moved it. I got the mic here. It's on a stand, so I got to like reach around to get to the computer. Somebody please run with that. The reach around part. Somebody has to run with that. Who else is here? G'day, Mark Dodman. What's up, buddy? So yeah, you said you're going fishing. That's cool, man. I've been doing some local fishing. Kind of, no pun intended, but I got Stevie hooked. We went. I made her get her license, and then yesterday we went locally, and she got her first bass. So I have pictures. Well, I have a small video of it. I didn't have time to download it yet, but I will. Yeah, this little church around the corner. They have 3 ponds. 2 of them are stocked. They stock them themselves, and she had a blast. You know, we're just using minnows on hooks with bobbers. Can't get much simpler than that. And the first couple times, you know, she kept missing them, and I do it too. But then she finally got her first fish, and it was a nice fish. So congrats to Stevie for that. So then she gets off work. It's like, we going fishing? Papa Craig, what's up? How you doing? So if you're new to the channel and you've never, been here before, what I do is I put the link in chat and anybody can pop on. Love to see some new faces coming on the show. That would be awesome. If you click on the link, you just follow the directions and it's pretty simple. All I ask is that you don't have YouTube on in the background because it just makes a lot of noise. Also, if you don't want to be on camera, you can hit stop camera. It's at the bottom of the screen. I have like a ton of these pictures, these moon pictures. I took all these. Well, I took them, but I say all these, but I have a shit ton of them. That and sunrises and stuff between Arizona and here. It's like, it's awesome. Yeah, so if anybody wants to pop on, I'm not going to sit here and babble. I'm just going to throw the link right in chat. So yeah, links in chat. Anybody wants to pop on, please do. Michael Haywood, what's up, buddy? Yeah, as I was saying, I'd love to see some new faces come on, or some old faces. Like, what's up, Long Island Bigfoot? What's going on, Mike? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Suzanne, how are you? Batmom, what's up? Who else? Oh, I'm getting bit right now by a mosquito. Oh, that was tough. Right on my foot. The only answer to that is sit on my feet. Yes. No, I'm good. It's funny because I put on spray because they are brutal here in Florida. They will just carry your ass off. And if you get dropped by them, you probably end up in the water getting eaten by a gator. That's the other thing I hate is the thought of fishing around gators. Lockbeard, what's happening? Hey, Sandra. Yeah, I'm just not. I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. Knowing that there's predators, that you can't see, possibly feet from you. We're talking alligators, not Bigfoot or anything like that. I'd rather deal with a Bigfoot than an alligator. Well, at least I think. Daily Dan, what's up, Dan? Hey, Val. Good to see you. So yeah, we went again today. Stevie and I went over to the church and threw out some minnows, but it was slow. Her back started hurting, so she kind of just bounced. She gave up, so she just chilled and stretched out. And I caught like a couple, but nothing to write home about. What's up, Bob? How are you, buddy? You sound. I think you're muted.
I am muted. Yes. Hear me now?
Yep.
I saw I just finished my show and I saw you were on. I'm like, okay, I'll see what Moggs is doing tonight. How are you tonight?
Yeah,
Moggs?
I just saw you over there with Sandra.
Yeah. That was an interesting. Wasn't that a scary show?
I just caught the last. Or not even. I just turned it on for maybe a minute. I was like, oh shit, who's on? And I saw Sandra over there, but I had to come back. It was like 10 of.
Well, I shared my own personal paranormal story on that, and I can still tell it, but it still sends chills down my spine. So,
oh, right on.
I was able to share that with her, and she shared me, some of the things that she saw, which was equally scary. So, it was a pretty interesting show on tonight.
What type of paranormal experiences have you had? I mean, ghosts.
It was kind of a long story. I don't want to take up your whole show. That would take about 5 or 10 minutes to tell. So,
take as long as you want. I love a good story. So,
well, I don't know if your audience would or not. So,
oh, absolutely. Hey,
well,
if you were just watching Bob's show, and you don't want to hear it again, click off.
yeah. And I was going to say, how come they weren't on my show? But hey, they had other thing. They got lives too, so we all have lives. But yeah,
I'm sure a few of them were over there.
What's that?
I'm sure a few of them were over there.
I'm sure. Yeah, they see. And I've always liked. I mean, everybody says hi to me. I like that. But Mr. Lee 3PO in particular, I love it when I log in. He sees me. He says the same thing every time. Van the man. So I like that. Thank you, Mr. Lee 3PO.
I used to get that a lot. That's funny. Not on here, but that's what people used to call me, was Van the man.
Yeah. So how you doing tonight, Moggs?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Was just saying we did a little fishing today. It was kind of slow.
Oh, that's cool.
But yesterday Stevie got her first bass. So
that's great. That's great to hear.
I was excited for her. She was excited. She was just like, put another hook, put another fish on. Let's do it again. Like a little kid. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's nothing like when you catch your first fish too.
Yeah, no, because it's so simple. It's such a simple sport, but it's so satisfying. It's just I don't know. I get engrossed in it. That's my escape.
I still remember the first fish I caught when I was little. One of the first fishing trips I went with my uncle and my grandfather. And I caught one of those little bitty, those little sun perch with a little orange dot on them. It's nothing but little bony fish. And probably wasn't
I caught one of those.
But but my first fish, I was cloud nine. I just caught the biggest fish ever. And I'm holding it up for the camera, like, look. It's even got an orange dot on it. I was so excited. But, when you catch your first fish, you don't care what it looks like. You just caught it, so.
Yeah, I love seeing kids catch fish. That to me, that's just like awesome. And if they're not catching them and say I am, I'll make sure they catch them. I'll go over and say, hey guys, what are you using for bait, or what kind of hook you got on? And I'll hook them up so they're going to catch. And they do.
Well, yeah, it's awesome.
What's up, Richie? Strangeland. Hey, Bobby Ounce.
Oh, another Bob. Oh, Bobby.
Bobby. Yeah, female. Who else is over here?
Look, you got quite a few people here.
Yeah, there's.
I'm seeing a few people that were on my channel earlier, so.
I'm sure.
We're all one big family here, So
I think you had Duke over there, didn't you? He was hanging out for a
think
while.
we
No?
did. I see Val, SWPA. I think
Yeah.
Strangeland was there. Yeah, there's a few people that were there. So yeah, thanks Frank for all
All
this
right.
stuff.
So Mark just yelled at us. Tell the story.
Okay, okay. Well, if you start losing viewers, let me know and I'll shut up.
No,
So
dude, tell your story.
okay, here it is. I was young and stupid. I'll put it that way. Let's just might as well put that out there. I was actually 22 years old. I was living in my very first apartment after college graduation. And I'd already been living there a year and a half. No problem. Nothing ever happened there. It was a one bedroom apartment. I lived there by myself. And, no problem. Well, one evening, I was kind of standing outside my apartment door. And the landlord's daughter comes around the corner. And we were about the same age, 21, 22 at the time. And she was cleaning up trash. They were very meticulous about the apartment looking good, picking up trash, the lawn. And so she was just making sure everything looked good. And we struck up a conversation, she and I. And they had owned this apartment complex for more than 10 years. So I was just kind of joking with her. I said, I bet you and your family have seen a lot of people come and go. Probably people you've even had to evict out of here, And so, she kind of told me a few stories. She said, "Oh yeah, we've had some very interesting characters at this apartment complex." But then she got serious, and she pointed towards my apartment door, and she says, "Well, Bob, you do know that just a few years ago there was a man that was murdered in your apartment."
Oh,
And I'm like, no, maybe you should have told me that before I moved in. That might have been something. But then she explained it, and that's a whole story itself. But the Reader's Digest version, the young guy, his own stepmother killed him.
oh,
He had a drinking problem. He also had a drug problem. She managed to slip some drugs into his drink. And then there was a physical alteration. The story goes she shoved him back really hard in the kitchen. He hit his head on the back of the refrigerator. He slid down, his face up, and this is pretty graphic. The drugs and the alcohol started counteracting on him. So he started throwing up. But instead of the stepmother, turning him over, she sat there and watched him die drowned in his own vomit. It was a very violent death. And she did nothing to help him. She killed him. And that's how it happened. Okay? So that's how the story went. Well, after the landlord's daughter went on, me and my infinite wisdom, sarcastically speaking, decided I can't leave that alone. First stupid mistake. Cousin of mine I knew had a Ouija board. And so me and again my youth and stupidity, one night, late at night, right around midnight, I bring the Ouija board home, and I'm using it by myself, mistake number 2. And I sit in the kitchen next to the refrigerator where the guy had died. Little candle on the kitchen floor, turn off all the lights. I knew the guy's name. So I got my little hand on the planchette. I'm calling out to him, "Hey, can you hear me?" Nothing. No change in temperature. The candle didn't flick. I didn't feel anything. 5 minutes later, I keep doing it. 10 minutes later, nothing happens. Nothing. I keep calling out, "Hey, can you hear me? Nothing. The candle doesn't flick. Lights don't blink. No temperature. 15 minutes later, I'm like, I'm fed up with this. This is stupid. It's a game. So right in front of me in the refrigerator, a few feet from there's a cabinet, like a kitchen cabinet. But I used it as kind of a catch-all, old papers, games. It was just a bunch of junk. Yeah, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to put the board and the planchette in this cabinet, take it to my cousin tomorrow, because it's stupid. There's nothing to this. So, anyway, I go to bed. I'm like, okay, there's nothing to this. So before I go to bed, there on my dresser, or chest of drawers, should I say, there's a fan, little desk fan. I use it to keep a breeze going, and just it's noise too, helps me go to sleep. So I'm sitting there on top of the bed sheets, and I'm totally relaxed. I mean, no problem. But all of a sudden, I started getting chills all along my arms. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? Why am I feeling chills? It's not cold in here. And it kept going, Moggs, and it kept going. And I was like, then I realized this is not chill bumps for coldness. I'm actually afraid. I'm afraid. I'm feeling fear, but I can't explain why I'm afraid. And y'all, I can't explain the noise. I can't even mock the noise. But it was a loud screeching noise in the same room with me. And it was like, yeah, I can't even, and it just kept going. There was no break. It just screeched. So the room light is on the same wall where my bed is. I kind of flicked the light on. The little fan that I had on that dresser, the blades are just doing this. They're jumping and they're squeaking. I'm like, you know what? That board is leaving this house tonight. So I get out of bed. I got my slippers on, jerked the fan out of the wall. Okay, I go in the kitchen, open up the cabinet drawer. No board. Board and planchette are not in that cabinet. And I'm like, I put it right there on top of all this junk. So now I'm throwing stuff out. Pots, pans, game pieces, paper, old newspapers is going out on the floor. And I'm going through this stuff. It's not there. I'm like, I leaned over from the refrigerator and I put it in the cabinet. It was right there. I didn't carry it anywhere. I even looked around the living room, even though I didn't go in the living room. So now I'm really freaking out. So I keep retracing my steps over and over. I said, I did not carry it anywhere. It was here. So about 20, 30 minutes of that, I found like, you know what? It's in the apartment somewhere. Let me get some rest. And then tomorrow, when I'm more little level-headed, I'll come back and I'll look for it again. I could have put it somewhere else, but I don't know where else I could have put it except right here. So I'll go back in the bedroom. And I'm kicking my shoes off. It's a carpeted floor. So I'm kicking my shoes off under the bed like I did. And all of a sudden I hear, like my house shoe hit something solid. So I'm like, it's carpet. What could it be? I didn't think. So I get on my hands and knees. And I pull up the sheet and the quilt on the floor right underneath the bed. Side of the bed where I was sleeping was the Ouija board and the planchette. Right where I'd been sleeping. And I didn't carry it in the bedroom. That, like, you talk freaking. I mean, that I was fit to be tied. I moved out shortly after that. And I brought a psychic in. And he explained it to me. There's a lot to the story, but I was still stuck it up. I was like, I don't understand. I was trying to contact this guy. I know he had a bad life. He had a bad death, but why would he take it out on me? And this psychic was very blunt. He goes, Bob, you didn't contact that guy that died here. You contacted a demon. That's what came through. Then that was really, that really freaked me out. But then he said, I had told him the story. We were in my living room when I told the story. He goes, Bob, did you have somebody, an elderly person that you were really close to that thought of a lot of you, that wanted the best for you? And I thought about it like, well, yeah. Less than 2 years ago, there was this little old lady that I'd met at the store accidentally, and she introduced me to the church. And she was always interested in my spiritual life. Even set up Bible studies for me. Unfortunately, I didn't turn my life over till after she passed away. And then the psychic was very blunt. Goes, that was her. I said, what do you mean? He goes, when that board got under your bed, if it had broken spiritually, it would have either killed you or possessed you. That fan that went off, he goes, that was that little old lady she knew if she did that, that would get you out of bed and out of danger. I'm like, and I mean, you talk about really freaking out at that time. I was like, oh my God, I'm not messing with that again. So yeah. There's my ghost story, y'all. Hope y'all don't have nightmares over that. I did for a while. I couldn't even talk about it for years.
That's very cool. I never got into the Ouija board. I mean, when I was a kid, yeah, we had one, but we never took it seriously, or, I don't recall anything bad happening with them, or anything happening with them. We'd always, you moved it. Oh no, blame each other, and if it moved at all, but I wouldn't mess with them today. I've heard too many stories like yours, and just not good stuff, you know.
I did it alone. They said the biggest mistake I made was doing it alone. They say, yeah, that's not something you mess with. And yeah, I mean, and I learned a hard lesson. I mean, just because you use that and you try to contact John Doe's spirit, that don't mean John Doe's spirit's coming through.
Yeah, I mean, your intentions were good, you know, you thought, but you were, you know, you didn't know what could happen, what could come through, you know. So, well, nothing did happen. I mean, you think, if you look back at your life and say, oh, I wonder if I was affected by that at all later on in life or throughout my life. Did you ever have these moments of just, what do you call it?
Pure terror or what, or sensing,
or just bad luck in life where, like, or whatever. I'm thinking if it was a demon and, you know, you got rid of it, hopefully.
We did. We got rid of the psychic, got rid of the board. And we never, you know, we put it away.
I was just curious if it hung on at all.
Not really. And it didn't hang on in the apartment either. I'll tell you a little footnote to that. Again, I didn't have, after that happened and I moved away, I didn't feel that sensation.
Okay.
Nothing followed me. As luck or good luck or bad luck would have it, a friend of mine's future girlfriend moved into that same apartment 4 years after I had moved out. Now, there were already people that had moved in and out in the meantime, but it just so happened I knew the girl that lived there, and she didn't know I lived there at the time. But, you know, I told her the story. I just told y'all. And I asked her, I said, well, you know, and she didn't freak out about it. I'm like, well, have you, because she'd already been living there 6 months. Okay. I said, have you sensed anything here? Have you got any feelings here? And she thought, no, nothing's happened. No noise, no sensation, nothing. So whatever was there that either I contacted or was gone. It didn't follow me and it didn't stay in the apartment either. So that was a good thing.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing it. That was cool.
Yeah.
Ben, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Miss Dill. What did she say? Ouija board and a psychic. Run.
Yeah. There was a vision during the psychic that was there. I didn't tell you this part, but when the psychic was there, he was talking to me and he said, Bob, no matter what happens, keep your eyes on me. Don't look away. Like, okay. So in my peripheral vision, I can see the front door this way to the apartment. I can see my bedroom this way. So as he's talking to me, he's chanting something. I don't know what it was. But all of a sudden, all I can describe it to you, Moggs, is in my bedroom door, there was this large, like an egg-shaped, oval-shaped figure, like 7 feet tall. No arms, no facial features, just like a dark silhouette. But it had fur all around it, like a black with, nothing. And I didn't say anything. I got my face completely straight to the psychic, and he goes, you see what I see? I said, yeah. And he's talking about the bedroom. He goes, that's where he almost got you, wasn't it? And I said, yeah. So we saw the same thing. But as he did his little chant, we put the board away and got rid of it, and never had that problem again.
So was the psychic also a, what's the word? Like a shaman or shamanistic at all?
Not really. He delved into the paranormal.
Okay, because he said he did chant, so I wasn't
sure.
He
did some kind of chant, but it wasn't like a, for lack of a word, like an Indian chant or like a Spanish chant. It was some words. It was almost, I don't want to use the word speaking in tongues, but maybe it was, but it did not make any sense to me at all what he was doing. And but yeah, it was enough to make me live it alone. I moved away, and again, it didn't follow me. And again, 4 years later, I met the girl that lived there later, and no problem. So I tell people, don't mess with those. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, that's definitely good advice. Who else? Chessboard, how are you, buddy? Again, guys, the link is in chat. I did just repost it if anybody wants to use it and come on, hang out. Bob's here. I'm here. You got any questions? Put them in caps in chat so we can I can see him.
I want to say a special hello to Sandra Pink Paranormal. She was my guest tonight, and I see her in chat. So,
I did
Sandra,
see Sandra there.
thank you again for appearing on my show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to see it, check out her channel and check out my channel too, Van Buren Variety. It was a very interesting show.
Very cool. What did you guys talk about mostly?
Well,
Just those two
but
stories.
the paranormal, yeah, her, not only my ghost story, but also her stories too. She even provided pictures and a
Oh,
few
wow.
brief videos of things that she has seen and experienced. And
Really?
she's had some very, very good advice for people that are maybe experiencing hauntings in their home, or maybe they're themselves have something attached to them, how
Attachments.
to kind of get rid of them. So, Sandra, thank you for all the good information.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sandra in a while. I was on her show a long time ago.
She's a good person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's good to see her. I'm glad she's doing well. Kaiju Ninja, what's up? Here, what's Van's opinion on Sasquatch? Has he had an encounter?
I personally have not had an encounter with Sasquatch. Well, let me rephrase that. Not that I know of. No, I have been out with Tex a few times, and I've been out in the woods myself. I mean, not actually hunting for Sasquatch, but who knows? One could have passed by me,
Sure.
or passed by the tent. Maybe I know, but if I did, I'm not aware of it. But I truly believe they do exist, and I truly believe there's something out there, and there's just too much evidence, too many stories, too many. I truly believe it, and I don't know if you've heard Texas stories, but he's got some he's got one particular that really scares me. When he was 16 years old, and I can't tell it like he has. So if you ever want to hear a Texas story,
Dogman encounter?
The Dogman encounter, yes, So that one would scare me into next Wednesday too.
Yeah, he tells a good story. That's a good story.
Moggs, what about you? Let me kind of shift. Have you had? Well, you mentioned you used a Ouija board. Have you had any? What you would know as a paranormal experience, one that maybe is, that you don't mind talking about, a scary one, maybe, or
Um,
or if you don't,
like
if you don't want to share it, you don't have to.
Scary one. It was, but if I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna do them all.
Okay.
My first experience, I think, with paranormal or anything weird was I had an outer body experience.
Oh wow.
Hey, Sandra.
Hey.
Hey, you look very
Hey.
familiar. You look very familiar to me.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
So I was just Bob wanted to hear a story. So I was 13 years old. I was on a camping trip with my dad, my two sisters, and my oldest sister's boyfriend at the time. Let me pull up Ben while we're here. What's up, Ben?
Hey Ben.
Yeah, we were camping up along the Delaware River at a state forest, and my younger sister and my dad and myself, we decided we're going to go for this hike and go up this mountain to this lake. And I say mountain, it's Jersey, or they're not mountains. So we're going up this trail, and next to the trail is a stream coming down it. I guess it's the runoff from the pond or lake or whatever's at the top. And as we're going up, we hit this one section, and there's this rock that comes down the water's cascading over this rock, and it's a really long rock. And at 13, I'm looking at it like, this is a water slide. So I was only going to go halfway up and hop on this rock and slide down, but I went all the way to the top and pushed off, and it was more falling than sliding. I mean, and when I landed feet first, but in a squatted position. Like I sat down on my heels that's how I stopped, and I was in this little puddle of water. Well, that's where my body stopped, but it was like my spirit kind of kept going and kind of tumbled out of me. So for 2-3 seconds, I was actually on my hands and knees looking at myself in the squatted position where my body landed. And like I said, it was like 1, 2, and next thing I know, I'm back in myself, and I open my eyes and I see my dad coming towards me, but everything is in slow motion. And then all of a sudden everything rushes back at once. So it's real time. And I'm in this puddle realizing I just screwed up. So it was just that 2 seconds of seeing myself, where I wasn't in my body.
Was that like, you think they consider that astral projection?
I call it going over the handlebars on the bike, because the bike stopped. I did.
Yeah.
Like my spirit kept going.
Yeah.
I don't know. Astral projection, outer body experience.
Out of body. I think it's more out of body experience.
Yeah. Because I didn't mean to do it. Astral projection, usually you're doing it with intent.
Yeah.
You're trying to do it.
Yeah, you're right.
This was oops.
Oops, I almost died. Because mostly that's what happens.
I think my spirit jumped out before like right at the last second, thinking, oh, we're screwed, and then realize, oh wait, maybe a little too soon, jump back in. But yeah, that was my first kind of weird experience. 1993, no, it was 92. During the holidays, we found out my mom had cancer, and August of 93, we get a call, hey, mom's in the hospital, come on out. We were in New Jersey. She was living with my sister in Peoria, Illinois. We get out there, and my mom's, she's in the hospital. We go to see her. She's not coherent. She can't talk to us or anything, but we're pretty confident she can hear us, so we said what we wanted to say and had to say, and said our goodbyes, and said it's time to go home, and it's okay, and thank you, and we did everything that night, and we left. And I think the next night my sister went to the hospital, and it was the first time that anybody stayed overnight. She was spending the night there. And about 5:20 in the morning, she gets up to go get coffee. And by the time she got back, my mom passed away. And I kind of felt like maybe she knew she left the room and didn't want to die with her there. So my sister calls us and says, hey, mommy passed away. And, okay, good. She's not suffering anymore. So if you live in the Midwest and you're involved with the church, and somebody dies, people show up with food. And it got busy with people coming and dropping stuff off. And I mean, at the end of the day, me and my sister were just like, you know what? I said, Pammy, let's get out of here for a little while. Let's step out. We'll go grab some dinner. And because people in the Midwest like to use Miracle Whip a lot. I can't. I was like, I can't eat it, guys. Sorry. So we went out. So this is the night my mom died. And as we're heading out, there's a storm coming in. This was the most intense lightning I had ever seen. And it wasn't until, I think yesterday, Stevie and I were watching something, and they showed a lightning storm coming in. And it was exactly like what I saw. It was nonstop strobe lightning. It was just the most intense thing. And me and my sister were like, this is mommy. She's letting us know. Because when we were kids, we grew up with my mom on the Jersey Shore, and whenever the power went out, there was a storm, the power would go out, and we'd sit around, especially at night in the dark, with candles, and we'd play board games. And so we loved the, when the lights went out and thunder and lightning storms and stuff. So we go out to dinner. The storm's still raging, and I had forgot this part of the story. My sister had told it the last time she was on, and reminded me of it. But the restaurant we went to had a pool table in the basement. So we went downstairs to shoot pool, a game of pool or two. And while we were there, the lights went out. So we were like, oh shit. And we're done with dinner. We finished pool. I'm like, let's go grab a drink. There's a bar down the street. And we get there. The storm is still raging. We sit at the bar and order our drinks. And at the bar, they had this, they called it shake a day or whatever they called it. It was like you get for like a quarter or whatever you paid. There at that time, it was a quarter. You get a cup with dice in it, like a Yahtzee cup. And if you know how to play Yahtzee, that's, you roll the dice and whatever comes up, you could win things. You could win, money, drinks, a 6-pack, whatever. So I paid the quarter. I roll the dice and I win a 6-pack. I'm like, oh, right on. So my sister gives a quarter, rolls a dice, and she gets a free roll. She rolls again. She gets a free roll. She rolls the third time. She gets a 6-pack. Now I look at the bartender, and because the bartender's got this weird look on her face, I said, how often does that happen? It doesn't. Huh. I turned to my sister and said, hey, Pam, listen to the song on the jukebox. She turns around and she's like, she gets this look on her face. It's AC/DC's Have a Drink on Me. We said, thanks, Mom. So, it was weird. So, fast forward to 2010, I'm in Arizona. I'm in the sports bar because they had an old karaoke system that needed to be looked at. Because I was thinking of, hey, if we got enough system here, we can get karaoke going. So it's the middle of the day. I walk in there, I pull out the computer and everything, and there was some dance club music on the radio. I was like, there was nobody there. It was me, the bartender, and the cook. So I asked permission to change the radio. They said, yeah, sure. So I go into the kitchen, and I changed the satellite radio to a country station. Come back out, and I look at the computer and stuff, and I had a beer, and I started talking to the cook, and we were talking about tattoos, and I told him how I got, down on my calf or the side above my ankle on my right leg, I have a lightning bolt. And I said it was in honor of my mom. So I'm sitting there and I proceed to tell him the story that I just told you that ends with, have a drink on me. And he's like, oh shit, that's crazy. And he had to leave. So he leaves. I go outside to have a cigarette, and it happened to be June 27th. June 27th was my parents' original anniversary. Like, that was when they got married. They had divorced and stuff. But so whenever be it birthdays or whatever holidays, whenever I talk to my mother, it's usually outside and I talk out loud and I put it out there. So I tell this kid the story. I go out to have a cigarette and I start talking to my mom. I said, Mom, happy anniversary. Miss you, love you, And all of a sudden I got this feeling of doubt. And I was just about to walk back in the door and I got this feeling of doubt. And I said out loud, I was like, I hope everything I've been believing in all these years is bullshit. And I walked into the door. I went over to the computer and I grabbed my mug. My pint glass was empty. I walk over to the bar. The bartender says, "Would you like another one?" I said, "Please." And I put it on the bar. Now, I have to backtrack just a little bit. When I was working on the computer, for whatever reason, like if I turned the music kept getting in the house music kept getting louder and lower. All of a sudden, it would get louder and lower, or it was weird. So I was like, didn't know what was going on. I thought it was maybe the karaoke and the house music was going through the same amplifier, and it might have been overheating. So it was down. Didn't know why it was doing it. But when I go to the bar with my cup and she says, "Would you like another one?" I didn't pay attention, but there was no music at the moment, because all of a sudden, when I put that glass on the bar, the music got really loud. And behind the bar, there was a shelf with 2 Patron bottles on it. Patron, tequila. Well, that has corks in it. Well, the glass hits the bar, the music goes loud, and one of those corks shoots out of the bottle. And the bartender turns white. And I just start laughing. Because she's like, "Well, what the hell's going on? Like, what?" I said, I'm laughing. I said, "I guess my mother doesn't want me to have another beer." And she's like, "What?" And I had to explain, because I had just told that story to this guy 10 minutes before. And then I doubted it and walk in the bar and that happens.
I'll show you not to doubt me.
Exactly. So those aren't scary, but I hold those stories here.
Definitely paranormal. I mean, it's definitely, yeah,
I had lived in a house at one point where friend of the family, the parents were killed in the house. And this was a couple years later that she needed somebody to watch the house, so I moved in. And I was there by myself. I had a cat and a dog for a little while, but they didn't live in the house. It was just this big ass house that I was kind of watching. And one night they came up from wherever they were. They were down in like Maryland or wherever they were living. And they came up for the weekend. They brought their dog. And one night I'm in bed. I took the master bedroom. I took the parents' bedroom just because it had its own bathroom. So that's where I was sleeping. I'm laying there and I'm asleep, but all of a sudden I get woken up because I hear the dog in the bedroom. And the dog's name was Tristy. And I'm laying there. I said, "Tristy, knock it off." And I open my eyes. And where I'm laying on this side, I'm facing this wall, is the entrance to the bedroom. And on this side is the entrance. In this corner is the entrance to the bathroom. So you have the hallway and the bathroom, I should say. Well, when I said, "Tristy, knock it off," and I open my eyes, out of the bathroom, I see this flash. It was like electric blue, like if you arc 2 wires together. And all of a sudden, this orb comes out of the bathroom, floats in front of the bed that I'm laying in, and I'm just laying there, and I watch it go by, and then it just fades out. I was like, "Whoa."
Blue orb.
Okay. I went back to sleep. I just rolled over. What was I going to do? It went away. Same house. Another time I was downstairs, and between the kitchen and the living room was a library. They called it a library, kind of sitting room, whatever. And I was hanging out in there, and I didn't really go into the living room for anything ever. But something got my attention, so I got up and I stood in the doorway of the living room, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I got this fear hit me, this primal fear, where you said you were scared before. That's what reminded me. Your hair stood on end. I mean, I was scared shitless. There was nothing there, but I was so scared that it pissed me off. Like, I got so scared that I got mad and started yelling at whatever was in the room. I'm like, I'm yelling at it, going, "Come on!"
Yeah,
Come on, you know, few curse words, and
of course, yeah. You explain
then
those
I
there.
stepped back, the feeling went away, and that was that. But there was something in that room that just, I don't know, couldn't see it, but I felt it. Couldn't say it was evil. I just got scared.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. I would have gotten in that situation. I would have also. Wow.
I think that's about it. There was something else. That's another longer story. I'm not even going to get into.
I guess you heard I got scratched this year. You've heard that story
I
already.
heard that.
Yeah.
What were you guys doing? You were doing
Me and Tex and some others from his channel. We went to Hell House,
okay.
and there's a room in there. It used to be, well, there was a lot of awful things that happened there, but it used to be a bordello, and then also there was some gambling that was going on there. And there's people that's died there, but there's a room in the back of this house, and they let you go in, and it's kind of I won't say game room. It's got a little table and chairs. It's got cards in there. But a guy that used to play in that room a lot, a gambler, I think he died in the house too. I don't want to be telling it wrong, but I think he did. But people in the past have complained when they go in that room and stay for a while, they get scratched somewhere. So I'm like, okay. Anyway, but I don't know. It's been a while since my paranormal experience. So not that I didn't believe it. I just but what happened was that there's 4 chairs around this table, and one's an empty chair for this, quote, old gambler. Tex and I think a couple of other people gathered around, and they were playing poker.
The poker. Yeah. That was Amy and what's her daughter's name?
Laney.
Laney, yeah. But anyway, they went in there, and they were dealing a hand of this guy, sitting there. But I wasn't playing. I was standing up behind this chair. I was just watching. And it's really weird. The way the cards were played out, they shuffled them. This cowboy entity, what do you want to say, won. I mean, every hand, just about he won. So we go back in the kitchen of this house where we had set up. And I started feeling, I didn't feel scratch. I felt like a burning sensation. Like it's almost like someone took a poker or a hot pan off a stove and just put it against my back. And I complained to Tex. I said, Tex, my back just feel like it's on fire right now. Is there anything back there? So I lifted my shirt up. He said, Bob, you are scratched big time. And I couldn't see it. And B took some pictures and you could see it. I mean,
Sure.
So I was a firm believer.
So what you failed to mention about that poker game was the aces and eights coming up.
Yeah.
And the guy beating it with 3 6s.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I didn't tell that part of the story. Yeah.
That was.
And his name is Cowboy, and he was killed in that room.
So, and the only thing I can figure, the rest of them didn't get scratched, but maybe, either A, he didn't like me sitting or standing behind him. Maybe he thought I was trying to help the other ones cheat. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I wish I had the picture. I don't have the pictures in front of me, but it hurt.
I'd love to see him sometime.
We had because it's an older house. It doesn't have central heat and air. There's window air conditioners, and they went on. They kept exploring part of that, but I had to sit in the kitchen with my shirt up, with the window air conditioner just blowing cool air on me because it just burned and burned. Like it was on fire.
Wow. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing good, man. I got to work tomorrow, but with his Ouija story, I had to jump on because I have a Ouija story too.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
I'll give you the condensed version because it's, I got to go to bed. But so I live in South Louisiana, right? And when we were younger, we used to go to my grandma's house, and my grandma's house was haunted. And a lot of people saw ghosts, and a lot of people saw a bunch of different things.
Sure.
But for some strange reason, we were little kids and shit, and my mom was like, don't ever play with the Ouija board. But for some reason, my grandma would always want us to play with the Ouija board. I don't know why. I can pontificate, and I could kind of guess. I don't. Maybe she could have been into witchcraft. I don't know, but so she wanted us to play with the Ouija board. So we started playing with it, and we saw different things like happen from even starting to play with it over there, like different like people that we'd bring all our friends over there, and different people would say shit in different fucking like different voices and stuff like that weren't theirs. So that being stupid kids, that didn't really throw us off. So we brought the Ouija board home to my mom and dad's house, and me and my brother and one of his best friends, I'll call him RD. We always used to we would play with the Ouija board, and that thing would tell us exactly what we wanted to hear. So
wow.
Yeah. No. So we kept playing with it, and it really wanted. So my brother was like a C and D student in high school, and he was like, one of the things I remember really was like he asked, "What am I gonna be when I grow up?" And they told him a doctor. And we all laughed. Yeah, right. Today, my brother's a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really, bro, really. So,
Yeah, freaky.
yes. So it kind of would go through, and RD was my brother's best friend. So we played with it, didn't think too much of it. We thought, maybe somebody was pushing it, but the more like personal things that we asked, we figured out that no, nobody's pushing this because nobody knows this. Nobody, you'd ask it stuff to try to see if it's real.
Sure.
And you'd get more and more personal because there are things that are like kind of general knowledge, but then there are things that nobody else knows. So you would ask it and it would answer and it would be right. So in our infinite wisdom, we just kept on playing with it. So, that's pretty crazy. So it always would try to get like us to leave and just my brother to play
Alone. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't make that mistake I did. Oh.
Yeah. So it wound up being that way. So he would do it alone. So okay, he did that, and we all forgot about the Ouija board, and so we say about like maybe a week later, something like that. He saw this like a Grim Reaper type silhouette.
Wow.
And he was washing my mom. My mom used to have a Bronco at the time, big Ford Bronco, and there was a squeegee that was my brother had on top, and a squeegee fell off the Bronco while my brother was washing it, and the squeegee was like really careening towards his face, and then all of a sudden it moved and it went into like a door. Well, where the door catches on that little square part.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It went into there.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So lady asked it, was that you that did that? And it was like, yeah, I did that. And so okay, all this stuff is crazy. We like kind of believe it, kind of don't.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went and have in my dad's front yard, my mom and dad's front yard, would make a bonfire. You know, it was cold. Uh, out there drinking, smoking weed. We were kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, the best friend guy, which is I give him the initials RD because we used to call him really dumb because he was not the smartest guy, bro, and he was not strong minded. So all of a sudden he starts talking in a different language, and it's like we look at him like, what, you know, like, what are you saying? And he just his eyes looked different. Everything looked different. So that scared the fuck out of us. So they have ponds in my dad's front yard. We went all the way around a pond, which was probably about 75 to 100 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
And we were whispering, "What's wrong with RD? Like, you know, hey, what's wrong with him?" And over there, he was sitting by himself, and he would answer every single thing that we whispered to each other, which was strange as shit. Because there's no way he could have heard us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scary indeed. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And he would tell my brother, brother's name is David. He started to say, "David, come take my hand," which leads back to the Ouija board was trying to get to David. It's like, "David, come take my hand." And I was like, "Nah, you ain't going nowhere. You know, he's my little brother."
Nope.
My brother was like, "But man, he's my friend." I was like, "Nah, fuck that. You're not going over there." So he starts talking all this like strange language, but you know, I have I've taken. I like words and stuff like that, and I like to know roots of words. That's just the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
But what he was talking was Latin. And he started saying, it was a guttural voice. It wasn't his regular voice. So he started talking like Latin and shit like that. Man, that scared the shit out of us.
Oh, sure.
So we all went over there, you know, and we all hit our knees and started praying. And when we prayed, you know, he was like, "No, don't say that. You know, I don't want to hear that, you know." But we kept on praying, and eventually the regular dude came back, like the guy we know.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
I think that I saw a Ouija board possession.
Oh, absolutely.
And we asked him, and I'll ask him to this day. You remember any of that? Nope. I don't remember anything that happened. It was an eye-opening experience.
That's really creepy. Yeah, for sure. Wow.
Yeah. And there was more that happened. I just, you know, I would have to talk to my brother to remember all the details and stuff. Like, so there was like, during that time, there was a succubus encounter that he had. And it just didn't want to deal with none of us, but you know, it really wanted my brother.
Spooky. Wow. That one's. Whew.
I wonder why he singled out your brother, though.
I don't know.
Is he healthy, weaker? His health weaker than you guys?
No.
Or smaller in size? That could happen sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the weakest link, if you want, out of the bunch.
Okay. Well, RD was the weakest link for sure, but it used RD to try to get to my brother. Maybe I was very much more headstrong than my brother. Maybe, you know, he was kind of trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life. And I don't know, but
You never know what they're up to. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird that what your brother did become.
Mm,
You were told he was going to become that, but then maybe whomever was or whatever was trying to get to your brother didn't want that to happen.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, but like I said, he didn't give a shit about high school, like most people.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a C&D student because he didn't give a fuck about it. But said he was gonna be a doctor, and we all laughed. Yeah, right. This dude is a doctor right now.
Unbelievable. Wow. That's man.
Yeah, I know. But it would tell you. I remember asking it questions, and it would tell you exactly what you wanted to hear. Though, I mean, exactly.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it
what
would
they
definitely
do.
read your mind. What's that, man?
That's what they do. They answer, like, let's say you ask them, "Am I gonna win the lotto?" They're gonna say yes, and stuff like that. They'll answer, like, they'll appear to be nice people, a nice spirit coming in and everything. Once
Yeah.
their confidence that you trust them and everything,
Hmm.
then they'll show their real side. And
And the mask comes off proverbially. Yes.
yep,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
that that
at the
that
same
did happen.
time, while they're answering your questions in a positive way, they analyze. Okay, well, let's say I would have asked for the lottery. Oh, well, she's out of money, so
Mm,
they find your weaknesses, and then
Sure.
once they know all your weak parts, then they'll play with that.
yeah, we initially thought it was my grandfather because you know we're just playing with a Ouija board. All it does is contact spirits, right? I mean, we like so we thought my grandfather had just died that year on the other side of the family, so we thought maybe we were talking to him, but
Mm-hmm.
turns out no, it was not him.
Kaiju Ninja says, Ben, what was the last time you? I think it was supposed to be when was the last time you messed with the Ouija board?
It was then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine
Well,
too. That's when I had that incident in my apartment. Yeah, early '90s. I never touched one and never will again. In
yeah,
fact,
that's a,
as a footnote, I told you about the haunted hell house that I stayed at.
Mm-hmm.
The people
mm,
that own that, you can stay there, you can investigate. They specifically said, do not bring a Ouija board in. I guess you can make it worse.
yeah.
So,
I'm sure. I'm sure. But
Well,
yeah,
if that's a portal, if that's what they're, if you're inviting shit in with that, then yeah, I wouldn't bring it.
yeah.
Sounds
But
like they got enough crap going on.
there's a lot of stuff going on in that house. Yeah.
the whole thing with that fucks with me to this day is I know damn well we never closed it the right way, and we tried to burn it.
No,
Yeah,
don't do that. Because if
yeah.
there's a
Well,
demon
we
attached
did.
to it, when you set fire to it, it's gonna come out and it could possess you right there or possess something else. They
Yeah,
say never burn a Ouija
Yeah.
board.
I
What
didn't
you
burn
do is
mine.
you bury the board in one area, and miles away,
Yeah.
you bury the planchette somewhere else,
Yeah. Me
so
and
they'll
my
never connect again.
Yeah, me and my
Never
but
second,
carry
we were going to burn it. Yeah, we didn't burn ours at all. I just got rid of it.
or a haunted doll. The same thing. Don't set it on fire.
Yeah,
It's gonna be worse.
yeah, absolutely. That's why we didn't do it. So
yeah. I mean, I
it's
wish
gone
we would
though.
have had like the
More good advice.
availability of like the internet, but this was like in the early '90s, so we didn't know. And we brought it back to my grandmother's house. We threw it in the yard, and the thing wound up finding its way back to my mom's house. I can't explain that, you know. I can't explain any of it
Mhm.
other
What
than it happened.
what really makes me angry, and if you go to, I mean, right now, even a Walmart or a Target, or even, well, Toys R Us is closed, but even then, you go to the children's section where they have Monopoly and Sorry
Yeah.
and
Board
Battleship,
game.
and
Yeah.
they have a Ouija board up there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
and I just want to just say that's not a game, and you're marketing for children. But yeah,
It's wrong. You're right.
unfortunately, people will learn the hard way, like I learned. So
Yeah.
Anything for a buck. You know, game company's gonna, man, it's a toy as far as they're concerned.
Hmm.
I'm just
No,
curious if anybody in that company ever actually connected with anything on their toy. You know,
Yeah. They
I'm sure they
probably
don't.
have.
that'd be interesting.
But
The only board I use is my pendulum board. It looks like a Ouija board, but it's not. And there's nothing mean that can come through that. And
let me ask a question to the people, I mean, you three and these in chat. I really don't know the answer to this.
Sure.
They call it a Ouija board. It's Ouija. Where does that word come from? What does it mean? Does anybody know? I'm just curious.
so, we is the French word for
Yes.
yes,
yes,
ja is the German word for yes.
I guess, okay,
Yeah.
that makes it. I did not know that. Okay.
and there was a lady at this board meeting, how to name this game, had a necklace on it, and it said Ouija.
Okay. I did not know that. Okay. I learned something
Yeah.
new. Just
And
curious
her
how they got it.
And her headstone is a Ouija board today.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I can go deep into.
Yeah.
these
I did not know
stories.
that. I just curious how they get the Ouija, but that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they put it out there like an intent of just being a talking board.
Yes.
It was a talking board, but it went farther than what they expected.
Yeah.
Really far.
So apparently, Ouija is an ancient Egyptian word meaning good luck.
Oh, really? Oh,
Also,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
it's not though.
No,
I didn't. Egyptian,
it's bad news.
but French and German as well.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I
Here,
gotta
this-
learn
I-
something new tonight.
This was from Google. Learned the name Ouija from using the board and that it was an ancient Egyptian word meaning good luck. So the guy apparently who named it because he used the board and found out the name.
Yeah, they found out the name too, and the lady had
Charles
a
Kennard
necklace.
was the guy's name.
Yeah,
That's odd. No, that's weird that the necklace said almost the same thing.
Mm.
Oh wow, I'm sorry, Jeff. I got you sitting back here. Were you sitting back there long, Jeff?
No.
Good.
Hey, Jeff.
I just happened to look down.
Hey, how are you guys? I caught your show earlier tonight. You guys
Yeah,
were
what's up?
interesting. I love the show.
Thank you.
I had a chance. I was at an auction a few months back, and there was. Let me move this just here. There was an old Ouija board on this auction, and this auction, a lot of people go to these auctions, these estate sales, because they buy stuff that's rare and they resell it, right?
Mhm.
This was a Ouija board from like 1901.
Oh, wow.
And in fact, this Folk, I think his name was F-U-L-D.
William Fuld, F-U-L-D.
So he's the one who, I don't know if he was a partner in creating it, but he's the one who made it famous in like the 1890 range.
Yep.
Okay. And he didn't patent it. And this Elijah guy that worked with him around 1900 or 1898 renamed it the talking board instead of the Ouija board.
Okay.
And he re-released it um, and it was called the Nirvana Talking Board. On the top of it, there's a swastika, which is an Asian symbol for
Yeah.
life. I mean, this was pre World War II, where the Nazis started using the swastika. It was an Asian symbol for life, but he called it the talking board. And this auction had a 1901 Nirvana talking board,
Wow.
almost perfect condition. And I look it up, and this thing's worth like $600, right? And I look around, and there's everybody else is looking it up too. Everybody knew this thing was worth a ton of money. And the auctioneer's like, can I get 10? We'll start out $10. Nobody'd give him a bid. He dropped it to 5, dropped it to 1. And they just took it and threw it in the garbage. I mean, there was at least 15 people there that knew what they could resell this thing for, and not one of them wanted to buy it.
Oh, wow.
But this thing was cool looking. I mean, it would have been neat to have. I just thought, man, there ain't no way in hell I'm bringing that thing.
I'm not taking that home. No, I'm not either. No.
Because I've heard, I mean, not that I don't really know a lot about it, but amongst those who have a lot of experience with them, that the older and the more like the wooden boards versus the ones you were saying you find at Walmart, mass produced out of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
These older wooden boards that have history to them, those are the ones that for some reason really bring some negative energy. And maybe it's just because they've been used for that long, there's been so many experiences around it. Maybe that compound somehow, I don't know.
Got a lot of energy in it.
But, there's a lot of people who say, I don't really buy into the Ouija board stuff. And, different areas of the paranormal, that certainly isn't one that I'm well educated in. But I would say this, there are tens of thousands of accounts of living people having premonitions. I had one with my cousin when I was in the military. She was stationed in England. I was stationed in the U.S., and I was in a horrible car accident one night. And it was like, her time was like 4 a.m. She knew immediately that something bad had happened to me. We were very close growing up. She called her mom at 4 a.m, said, something happened to him. I think he had some sort of an accident. Her mom called her sister. My mom told her this. My mom hadn't even been notified by my company commander or anything that I was in the emergency room or that I was flown to the hospital. But we see that a lot where two living people that have a connection can have premonitions about things that are happening to each other. And you'd have to be kind of foolish to think if this stuff is happening amongst the living, certainly it could happen concerning the dead or spirits,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
my grandma really had premonitions like that.
Did it ever happen again to this lady?
No, we never.
Okay, so it was the connection that you both have was so strong that's why she felt it. Because I have what we call is a gift, where if I am thinking of you for over a week, well, you're gonna get buried at the end of the week.
Oh my goodness!
That's the gift that I was saying on your show, Bob, that I wanted to get rid of because it's nothing fun to deal with. Like you have a best friend, a family member, you're thinking of them all a long time, no see, what they're up to. The phone rings at the end of the week and that person has passed on. So and by trying to block this gift because it hurts, it's painful.
I'm sure, yeah.
I developed another gift is where I can see like faces on walls of like spirits, and I can hear and smell. But that's it for that. But that gift for the something's gonna happen. Well, it happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I had the state Albuquerque in my head. I'm in Canada. What do you want me to do in Albuquerque? It stayed in my head for 4 days. And then I found out that there was an elementary school shooting over there.
Wow. Ooh.
So,
Something.
yeah. So I just that's why I don't like to say that I have this gift of okay, this is gonna happen, or because sometimes it can get very painful.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it comes with a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the dangerous thing that Ouija boards and even just messing with spirits in general presents to some people is that they are just more susceptible to
I agree.
that sort of thing
Yes.
than others. I don't think everybody's created equally in how
No.
spirits can affect them. And I say that because, again, we see it amongst the living. My mom's the type of person that if I go over to her house and say, "Do you feel okay?" and she says, "Why?" and I'll say, "Well, you look a little flush." She might feel great. And then just after me saying that, in 10 minutes, she'll be laying on the couch with a headache. I mean, you can suggest something like that to
Power of
people and they
Yeah,
physically start feeling ill.
Power
I
of
think that in the
suggestion.
same emotional state that people are more susceptible and more, let's say, preyable upon
Sure.
by spirits or those types of situations. But
Yeah.
Well, hey, y'all, I hate to leave good company, but I got to get up early in the morning, so it's a great conversation. And Moggs, thanks for having me on the show.
My
And
pleasure. Thanks for coming on. It
and
was-
Sandra, thank you for being on my show tonight. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you.
Have a
I'm
good
gonna
night, y'all.
hop off too.
Take care, Bob. See you soon.
Bye, y'all. Good night.
Bye.
I gotta
See you,
echo Bob, bro. I gotta get up at 3 a.m. to go to work tomorrow, so
Right on, man.
I gotta roll out.
All
Good
right,
talking to
you
y'all.
aren't going to get much sleep tonight if that's the case.
No. Good talking to y'all. So shit.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
wish I
Ben,
could stay because this topic is really like hits home with me, but I can't do it.
You never know. We'll probably move on to fishing or something and piss everybody off. So.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
All right.
I'll see y'all later, man.
Thanks again, man. Talk to you
All
soon.
right. All right, bye.
Bye.
How about those Giants? Oh, I don't know. Oh, the Raiders. Never mind. What are you? Oh, it's a Ramones shirt.
The Ramones, baby.
Wow. I haven't seen a Ramones shirt in forever.
Yeah, I love finding the obscure shit like Motorhead and stuff. This stuff you don't see every day, you know.
Yeah, I don't.
My son got that shirt that I think it's Will Ferrell wears in Step Brothers that says Pablo Cruz. It's like I can't even tell you one song Pablo Cruz sang, but it's funny to see some of these old concert shirts. It's like I haven't even heard of that band in 30 years, you know.
I'm just checking out chat record. Oh, wait, who we got here? Eric, how's it going?
Hey, Moggs, what's up? Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I got a weird question for y'all because you're talking about the Ouija board, right? Have you ever heard of people contacting spirits through a crystal ball?
I do that myself.
I think that not so much
That's
a crystal
called
ball, just
scrying, is that
crystals themselves, the
Scrying.
energy that raw crystals bring. I think.
I have a crystal ball, and the thing is, you don't see like a movie or things. You see symbols, and those symbols represent something else, you know? Like if you see a rabbit, it means good luck and stuff like that. On my channel, for my members, I do readings for them in my crystal ball. And it's not like they show on TV there. You'll see everything like a little TV there. Yeah.
Right. Well, the reason I asked was because when I was like 8 years old, I was staying at a friend's house and he had this big idea. He's a medium, right? And so he got out his crystal ball. And I thought, what the heck? You know, we're bored. Let's, you know. So he's talking like, I'm contacting this spirit and that spirit. We didn't get nothing. Then he asked for Abe Lincoln, which I thought, all right, why not? And he said, knock 3 times if it's you. And we were alone in the house, and in the back of the house, you hear this knock 3 times really loud, whop, whop, whop.
Okay, because me, the spirits I ask are my spirit guides to help me, to guide me into the reading, not to do like a Ouija board.
Right. That's just asking because they always use that for like big scary movies, the crystal ball, blah.
Yeah, it's usually a gypsy woman with a
Yeah.
bandana on reading over a crystal ball.
But this actually worked because there is just him and me in the house, and we got 3 loud, distinct knocks. So
here's something to consider too. Those who do a lot of readings with tarot cards and different decks, if they're going to do it properly, from what I understand, they cleanse them. They cleanse them with sage pretty regularly, especially right before using them. Have you ever heard of anybody cleansing a Ouija board? I mean,
nope.
You'd think that for the same reason why you would cleanse a deck to ward off the evil spirits and get reliable, positive
Point.
Energy through your readings, why wouldn't you do the same to a Ouija board? But I've never heard of anybody cleansing.
I'm sure there are people out there that do cleanse it like that. It would make sense if you're going to use it as a tool and you're in that field, like I do a cleansing before a show. I do a smudge. I haven't recently. I got to get a new smudge bundle, but yeah, I mean, because you never know what you're going to talk about here, so I don't want anything coming through.
We're going to want to talk about. I mean,
no, but it's situations like this. You talk about demons. You talk about all the spirits. So I don't approach this lightly. As far as I say a prayer before the show, and normally I would smudge. And it's sort of just armoring up, protecting myself, because who knows? Like like we're talking about spirits and stuff. I don't know. I've seen shit happen over the internet. That was kind of paranormal. So I know shit can come through electronically.
Yeah, it's like I always, when I have finished my videos, I say subscribe and all that, but I also tell the spirits, you're not allowed to attach yourself to me, my equipment, the people watching this video, because just by watching, one time I was doing a live stream and investigating, and there was one of my subscribers, she felt sick right there just by the sound that my fastener box made. She got sick. She was sick for 2 days. She didn't feel good there. As if she had the flu or something. So.
Lockbeard has an interesting comment there, which I think there's a lot of truth in that. He says that a Ouija board is just a tool. I don't know if I'd call it a crutch, but I get the point he's making. I mean, if you had a group of people that all had a pure intent of trying to contact a spirit, and you had somebody who was able to really be receptive and I guess what you would consider approachable by those spirits to interpret what's being talked about, you really wouldn't need a Ouija board. I mean, a Ouija board, I think, is just there for the collective process of, if you don't have somebody who identifies as a medium or somebody, maybe that's where the Ouija board, from a community effort, serves its purpose. But I agree with that. I mean, you could draw up those symbols on a napkin at the bar, and put a shot glass on it.
It's all intent.
I mean,
yeah.
And it's funny because I say I haven't smudged because I haven't had a smudge bundle, but I could use the smoke from a cigarette. It doesn't matter. It's all intent. If I approach it the same way with the same intent and the same, truth, the smoke, I don't think matters where it comes from, but I'm a little hung up on smudge bundles.
It's the
You know?
purpose of cleansing, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
your intent in the
Yeah.
exercise. So, whether you're using, powder in the wind, a dandelion, whatever. I mean, you're still trying to accomplish the same thing. So
The intent that counts.
but
Richie said what? She's talking about tarot cards, crystals, stop the pendulum thing. Those are witchcraft items.
Yes, because I am Wiccan.
There you go.
Sorry.
and I know people who aren't
apologize.
Wiccan that still use decks to do
Sure.
readings and stuff. I mean, I appreciate what Richie's saying, but that it's definitely an opinion rather than,
No, I'm glad, and thanks for telling us that, Sandra. No,
Yeah, some people
You'd
run
explain
away.
that.
Some people run away. Some are curious. Some are, I don't know. But yeah, because I used to hide it from my channel that I was. The channel wasn't really going anywhere or anything because it wasn't the real me I was showing. So then I started talking to one of my friends, PLE, Past Life Explorer. I don't know if you guys know him. But he told me, Sandra, show your real self, and whoever stays, they're the real ones that
Absolutely.
you need. So I said, yeah, okay. So now I say it. Yeah, I practice. I was raised Catholic, and growing up, I had doubts where I should be, and I discovered the Wiccan way, and that's what
well,
I
I
do.
think anybody who is afraid to talk about their faith or their beliefs or their,
Mm.
I think that if that's something that people shy away from talking about, I have to ask, how convicted are you in what you have faith
Are you
in or what
embarrassed
you
of
believe
it,
in?
or yeah?
So
No,
it
yeah,
reminds me of the movie, the Christmas Story movie, where he says some men are Baptist, some men are Catholic. My dad, he's an Oldsmobile man, and his dad's in the basement swearing up a storm.
yeah, and I only do white magic. I won't put curses on people or do black magic, whatever. Like I do spells. It's healing spells, wishful thinking spells.
Sure.
You know, so
Which is basically a prayer.
yeah, like my spells for you people, it's a prayer. Me, it's as I'm adding the ingredients together makes my prayer at the same time.
That's interesting. I never really looked into it. Wiccan. Just who did I just see? Lowrider, what's up? Welcome. Any other questions, Eric? You got anything else you're curious about?
No, I got a lot I'm curious about, but who isn't? It's a weird world we're living in.
Yeah, it is.
It's not the world we're told we're living in, that's for sure.
I pray. One's asking, who do I pray to? I pray to Mother Nature. I pray the goddess that I am studying that month. Uh, that's who I pray to, but mostly Mother Earth. You all know her. She's not mean.
She has a temper every once in a while, though.
Yeah, well, that's a lady. She's
Yeah,
in her menopause, so I understand her completely.
Sandra, have you ever seen the movie The Happening by M. Night Shyamalan?
No.
Where the plants attack human beings because we're overpopulating the planet, and they release these spores and it makes people start killing themselves.
No, and yeah, most of Wiccan are even vegan, plant
Right?
based.
No, I'm just asking. That premise always fascinated me because I mean, what if Mother Earth decided that, hey, there's too many humans, let's let the plants take them out.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't be Wiccan, is because I enjoy meat too much.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, I'm too much of a meat person myself.
Yeah. If I had a Ouija board, it'd be like made out of steak
Beef.
with the brand on it.
Yeah, his Mr. Lee is saying his mother was a bad one. Yeah, well, was she vegan? That's how you can. That's one way you can tell from a good witch from a bad witch. And if she belonged to a coven, I don't belong to a coven. I'm a Bushin witch, which means I practice nature spells and I'm all for nature environment. So you won't see me casting a bad spell.
That's good to know.
I had a friend who thought he was a magician. We were walking down the street and he turned into a drugstore.
It was clever.
So, do you listen to a lot of music, Sandra?
No, I don't watch TV and I don't listen to music. I just stay with myself and meditate a lot and think of my videos I'm going to be doing and watch other people's videos. That's all's what I do.
Hey, makes you happy.
Yep.
I had to ask
All that
because
matters.
I heard a song it's been it might have been a month ago I heard this, but there's a song by a guy named Derek Spencer called The Witches of Appalachia. And it is a freaking cool song. I mean, it talks about a young girl who grows up discovering that she is a witch. But it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool song. I mean, it's kind of a folk, country sound, but one of those songs that tells a story.
And who sings it?
Derek Spencer. It's called The Witches of Appalachia.
I have to check it out.
These girls get together at night and dance around a fire, and they talk about, and I don't know, somebody asks her, who are you dancing for? And the one who's watching from the flames, she says.
Oh.
Yeah, it's talking about the devil. You see, we do that, but to the moon. We're dancing for the moon, for the new cycle, and celebrating the full moon.
It's a lot to learn. Like even for me, like just to like want to look into it. It's just there's so many different aspects of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, there's proper ways to practice it and there's improper ways to practice it. And you probably see a lot of both online as you watch different shows, That community probably doesn't differ so much from the Bigfoot community. You see people, that are putting bad information out. And I don't think that, from that aspect, it's not a whole lot different than a lot of other religions that aren't being practiced properly by a lot of people who claim to be a member of that religion,
Yep.
They would never dance for the moon. I hear it's a terrible tipper.
Well,
it always comes with ones, not 20s, right, Eric?
Yeah, I'm telling you. You get ones, I usually get 50-cent pieces.
I put out 2 cryptid videos last week and the week before. It's it's true stories that happen here in my area. One, it was they saw an alien and disappeared with flying saucer and everything. So I went there and got the story and everything, and I filmed where it was supposed to have happened for that alien. And the other one was like a lizard snake monster there in the lake that we have here. It looks like the Nessie Loch Ness, but it's they call it Memphre, and it's at a lake here. So film that too. Yeah.
And that's on. Those are videos on your channel,
Yeah, I got 2 videos out.
guys.
About,
Definitely check out Sandra Pink Paranormal. She does a good show, so it's worth watching. Check it out.
thank you.
Did you ever hear about the lake monster in Lake Pondere up in Idaho?
Nope.
No,
No, there's supposed to be something up there.
you hear a lot of these stories. You know, I don't know what's the name of it. Champ. This,
Lake Champlain. Yep.
And playing Ogopogo.
Mm-hmm.
Something up in Alaska. There's supposed to be something up there in one of the lakes.
There's a lot of them in the U.S.
I don't know what it is, but
I can tell you for real that Bigfoot's in Idaho, though.
what's that?
I can tell you for sure that Bigfoot's in Idaho. That's like my first and only actual encounter. Well, I heard one yell in the background once, but I actually saw a Bigfoot in northern Idaho.
Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho are pretty similar in terrain and, remoteness. And I think all 3 of them states have a bigger population than the sightings would represent, because there's so many remote areas that people just don't get out into regularly.
Well, yeah, like central Idaho, you can only get to places by horse, canoe, or small plane.
Wow.
Man, there was not to change the subject, but there was an amazing story here last week of these 2 boys that are on the wrestling team in at the University of Wyoming, I think it is. And they went hiking, and they're only about 7 or 8 miles from the town that the college is in, but they're in a remote, up on a mountain. And they were hiking, and while they were hiking, one of them gets attacked by a grizzly bear. And this thing is kicking the living shit out of him on top of him. And the other kid runs up and jumps on the back of this bear and grabs its ear and rips its head back and gets thrown off of it. And the bear turns around and attacks him. And then the bear gets up and leaves and walks away. And it bit through his head, into his skull and stuff. And they had to, there was 2 other kids that were hiking with them that were split off of them. They were in separate groups of about 1,000 yards apart. The other one actually heard this happening. And the kid who pulled the bear off of the other one, he thought the bear had left, so he got up to go check on his friend. And when he did that, the bear came back and kicked the shit out of him again.
Oh, jeez.
And he's bleeding all over because it bit him in the head the first time. Anyways, it has a picture of them in a hospital. And this kid's got stitches all over his face like a fucking horror movie. And they're talking about how, they're on the wrestling team. They just met each other the year before and became dorm roommates, and they felt like they were brothers. And their whole wrestling team went to the hospital that they were flown to and was standing, had pictures with them. But it was tried to make it a feel good story, so to speak. But man, you realize what can happen in those areas like Wyoming and Montana. We're not talking about seeing a mountain lion that runs away or something, or a black bear that maybe got close to you. But we're talking a grizzly bear that didn't bluff charge, just kicked the shit out of these kids. But
Well, I'm gonna go. Thank you for having me.
Sandra, thank you for coming on anytime.
nice meeting you,
You're
Sandra.
always welcome. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it was good to see you too. Good night, everyone.
All right, take care. Don't be a stranger.
Okay.
Good night. That's cool. Yeah, I that's another thing is being out in wilderness where you have bears like that. That would just I'd be my head would just constantly be on a swivel.
Yeah.
No thanks.
There's a story about a guy that got his face literally ripped off by a grizzly bear, and he had to wear like a mask over half his face that got destroyed. And then they did like facial reconstruction surgery and replaced his eye and everything.
If you ever listen to the recording of the photographer and his girlfriend as he's getting eaten by the grizzly bears outside the tent, and then they kill her too. If you listen to that real recording of that, of the audio of that, you might not go outside in grizzly country again. I mean, that is the most horrifying thing I've ever listened to, I think.
Oh wow.
But
it's not so I couldn't listen to something like that. That's just too brutal.
Did you guys ever see the Faces of Death, the first video where the guy's talking to the grizzly bear, and the grizzly bear, like, he stands up on his back legs and he comes down on top of the guy, and you see the next thing you see is the grizzly bear's running off with his leg.
Jeez.
They're nothing to mess with, man.
I couldn't get through those videos. Like the first one I ever watched, I couldn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember trying to watch the first one and showed a guy in a car. He was jumping over some buses or something, and he jumps, and where the landing ramp is, he came like into the windshield, into the front of the ramp, and it like sheared everything off, including him. And I remember seeing that scene. I thought, who the fuck would want to watch this shit, man? But
they were popular movies back then. Those Faces of Death made a lot of money.
They had the forest ranger was in a boat going to get this alligator out of a lake, and he lassoed and it pulled him in. Whoops.
Jeez.
I find it humorous the dumb things people do.
Somebody told me that, I haven't looked, but somebody said those Faces of Death movies are on YouTube.
They probably are parts of them.
I wouldn't think YouTube would allow them to be on.
Well, probably not anymore. They probably got rid of them. YouTube used to allow a lot of stuff. You'd be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what happened? They used to pay too.
Yep.
No, it used to be people could make money on YouTube. Now you have to be like,
5 million viewers.
oh, and you have to be Joe Rogan to make money.
Right. Or Steven Crowder or whatever.
But I'm not here for the money.
No, that's a good way to communicate with a lot of people.
Oh, it's a great way. I've met so many awesome people.
Most people that have ever made money on YouTube could have made more money working at Taco Bell for $60 an hour.
Probably.
30 hours a week. I mean, you're talking about 0.01 of 1% that actually clears, 50 grand a year, let alone the ones that are making $1 million a year,
Sure. But yeah, I love doing this. I love hanging out with, all my friends, because that's what you guys are, friends, Some I've met, some I haven't. Some are more like family, But, wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for YouTube. Or, YouTube. And Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yep.
Jen says I'm being a ray of sunshine with the things I'm talking about tonight. Hey, it's Halloween week, man. We got to talk about some dank, dark shit here.
That's it, man. We
can talk about rainbows and butterflies the other 51 weeks a year.
All right.
This week gets to be a little dark. Stevie says, wouldn't have met Mogs if it wasn't for YouTube.
That damn YouTube. Bad influence. Mom always warned you, Stevie, don't watch that YouTube. You'll meet some
sketchy people.
Sketchy people.
Yeah. I'm thankful for it. I'm definitely thankful for it.
Definitely keeps one entertained for sure.
Well, yeah, but it's, you know, we've been hanging out for years now. You know, a lot of the people in chat, and it just, I'm amazed how fast the time went by. You know,
True.
So when I do meet someone, it's like there's no awkwardness. It's, hey, what's up? You know, like, good to see you. It's about time. You know. Huh?
First thing we did was hug.
Yeah. Stevie said first thing we did when we met was hug. You know, and it was over through a gate. I mean, I was on one side of the gate, she was on the other. But yeah.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
I met Nikki.
Yeah.
Good thing the gate was there.
Yeah.
Don't need Stevie trying to grab your booty on the first hug, right?
She just goes, whatever. No, there's no booty grabbing. Lowrider says, "What? Why is this not?" There we go. Lockbeard convinced me to give full-size Snickers to the Halloween trick-or-treaters this year. Why, does he live next door? He's gonna go home, change costume, come back. You know,
there's always one person. There's always one or two homes in the neighborhood that gives the full-size ones, but then there's always that one where the guy will give you like 10. I remember
pennies.
There's a guy give you 10 pennies or a thing of yogurt. You know, it's like, what the hell?
We get kids,
and you find out it's actually Ensure.
I would have went to my grandma's house, man. Come on.
Well, you guys kids like me when they started putting razor blades in apples and stuff like that?
We didn't. We had the threat of that growing up. It was always, you know, a urban legend sort of thing. You know.
I don't think there was ever a real scare of it for us, but it didn't keep my parents from checking through our candy
same with me.
when we got home, you know.
Lockbeard says, or an apple. you always got weird shit for Halloween.
We used to get big caramel apples and popcorn balls and all kinds of stuff out in the country.
Oh yeah. You'd knock on a door and somebody would be like, come in for pumpkin pie and hot apple cider, and go into their house and shit. You know?
Yep.
Okay.
The good old days.
My mom won't care. Let me come in.
We used to get actual full-size candy bars when I was a kid.
Yeah, they didn't.
Not these little mini bite things.
They didn't have the mini bites when I was a kid.
Yeah, me either.
Now there's people giving out ecstasy. 8-year-olds, and I don't know what this is. It looks like a Smartie.
I feel weird.
I haven't heard of Smarties in a long time.
Oh God!
This what were they?
Those and candy cigarettes. I haven't seen those in forever. Sorry.
Well, you used to not see candy cigarettes forever, but I was at a retro candy store the other day, and they had, they still make them. They still sell them.
Remember those pop tops that come in like root beer flavor or strawberry soda flavor?
Yeah, bottle caps.
Bottle caps. That's it. Yeah.
Grape, orange, cherry, root beer, and cola. I think that's one of my favorite candies. I love those.
Yeah, those are great.
Pat says, "Mogs, what do you think of the Mogi?" I didn't see it. I don't know which one you're talking about, Pat. But if you have it, send it to me.
Oh, I think that's one they've been showing around lately on all the Bigfoot channels. Is this real? Is this not real?
I haven't
I
seen it.
just saw it today. What was the name? What's that channel? The guy's name is Eric. He wears a little black cowboy hat. I can't think of the name of his channel though.
Paranormal Highway.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Sorry. No, I haven't heard anything about it. So hopefully somebody will let me. If anybody has it, wants to send it, you can send it here. MonsterMogion@gmail.com. I'd love to check it out. And then once I see it, I'll let you know what I think.
Who's got the train going by?
That's me.
Yeah,
Hang on.
not me. I'm not anywhere. If you hear mortar shells going off, that'd be me. I'm next to Camp Lejeune. So.
Don't drink the water.
No, that's what I get notified by that all the time.
Yeah, about every third commercial during a football game is if you were ever stationed at Camp Lejeune.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah.
So you're down in North Carolina?
Yeah, it's a beautiful state.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I never thought I'd find myself down here, but here I am.
What town you in?
The little town called Hubert.
Okay. I lived up in Richlands for a little while.
Oh, all right. I'm just kind of getting to know North Carolina, so only been here about a year.
Yeah, have you hit the coast yet? Like Topsail and
Mm-mm.
no?
I've been to the beach near Swansboro. That's beautiful over there. What's that? My daughter says I have been there. Sorry.
The Topsail, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like as soon as you cross over the one bridge, you're in Topsail, and then the beach. You know, you can take it out to the beach. It's a beach resort, beach town, I should say.
Well, did you ever go out to that haunted lighthouse? I forget the name of it. So you got to take 2 ferries to get to it.
No.
What's the name of the island? Hatteras Island. The Terrace or something like that.
No, I've been to the Outer Banks.
Yeah, that's supposed to be where that show takes place on Netflix. That's pretty interesting territory.
I've seen the lighthouses on the Outer Banks. I didn't know any stories as far as them being haunted.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the most haunted. Of course, they all claim they're the most haunted in the U.S. or whatever.
I was going to say, there's a lot of lighthouses that claim to be haunted.
Yeah.
I was stationed at Fort Bragg in North Carolina for 2 years.
Yeah, it was Fort
I think any of those small beach communities all along the coast in North Carolina, all of them I thought they were all pretty nice.
I did my basic at Fort Dixon, my AIT at Fort Sam, and then I stationed at Colorado, Fort Carson.
You did AIT at Fort Sam Houston?
Yep.
Were you a medical?
Yeah, field medic, yeah.
So, for those that don't know, in the Army, at least it used to be back in the 80s and 90s, if you were a man and stationed at Fort Sam Houston is a base where the women outnumber the men about 7-1.
Yes, they do.
Because it's where all the medical training is. So all these women that go in the Army and the nursing and doctor programs, they all go to AIT there and are stationed there. But
I can tell you they had some of the hottest female officers I've ever seen in the Army. I'll tell you that much.
I can tell you at Fort Bragg, like the men to women are like 50-1. There's hardly any women there because it's where the airborne is. And
hey, Mary, how are you?
Weren't that many there?
Fort Carson's kind of like that too.
Good.
Very few women.
Good.
How are you, Hogs?
Good. I'm good. Can't complain.
Doing all right. Hello, Eric. Hello, Jeff. Sorry to interrupt your
Mary.
conversation.
I see she's talking. I don't hear her, though.
We're due for an interruption and a change of subject. You can tell us.
I can tell you the holidays are getting closer.
The holidays are
Y'all
getting
ready
closer.
for-
Yeah, they are.
For the holidays.
My recipes usually consist of phone numbers to call restaurants. So.
No, Mary's recipes usually are a minimum of 5,000 calories per serving.
Nice.
Oh, you're thinking about that chocolate lasagna that I told
Yeah.
you. Moggs,
I
have you
gained
tried that out
15
yet?
pounds just during that show listening to it. I mean,
Sorry. See, a
I
chocolate
can't hear Mary
lasagna
for some reason.
is a summertime dessert, but you can have it all year round if you wanted
Oh
to.
yeah.
Have you made it yet, Moggs?
Not yet.
What
Not
are you
yet.
waiting for?
Christmas.
You're waiting for Christmas to make it for your family. I don't blame you. You can wait. We got like 61 days till Christmas. Are you ready?
Not at all.
I'm ready. Well, not
Well,
really.
61
Gotta-
more days you'll
gotta
be
My
get
here.
birthday is
gotta
2
get
days
through.
before Christmas. So.
I got to get through my birthday, Thanksgiving, yeah, some other stuff.
You
Well, we
born
got
November, Mugs?
November 27th.
Yeah, I'm November 7th myself.
Right now.
and the lucky number is
A lot of people are that in November.
What was that, Mary?
the lucky number. Are you holding like 21 plus for your age?
No.
Or do you,
No,
no.
I'll be 55.
55?
Yeah, you're young and yet.
Yeah. Well, it's all a matter of how you feel, I guess.
Mom is older than me.
Sometimes I feel all my 57 years, and sometimes I feel like 102.
Hey,
I'll
I'm
be
38 and I feel like I'm in my 80s.
I'll be 54 in December. 2 days before Christmas.
55, I feel like I don't know. I don't feel old.
I
I
heard a
don't
beat.
feel like I'm a teenager, but I don't feel like I'm over the hill. I feel good. I can
Doesn't
get up
hurt
every
when you
morning.
pee.
Nope.
No, your bones don't crack and creak when you get out of bed too badly.
Not too bad. There's not too much pain. I get through the day, most of the day, pain free. Not always, but
Military.
I can like get up and down off the ground if I'm doing work. You know, if I'm working on a vehicle. I mean, I can get off the ground. There's some
Hello,
people
everybody
that
in the
can't.
side chat that said hello to me moments ago.
Who
You
was
know
that?
what?
A lot of people were saying my name, and I was like, hello to everybody on the side chat that was saying my name a few moments ago.
You know what
I know I
makes
sound funny, but hello.
what makes you feel old is, in I guess those who have kids could relate to this, is now that my boys are like 17 and 18 and my oldest is in junior ROTC, you know, and he comes home and says, you know, I did 65 push-ups in 2 minutes today. And I'm like, I can't freaking do 5 push-ups in an hour probably right now. I mean, before that, you know, they didn't come home 2 years ago and brag about these physical fit. Now they walk in the door and say, you guess what I did today? I'm like, I don't even want to hear it because it's just going to make me feel old.
Really? You did that many? Show me.
Yeah.
You're making a chocolate hot tub, Mrs. Deal.
I can.
Chocolate hot tub.
I'm in. Can we? No, never mind. Chocolate hot tub. That works.
Want to make some s'mores?
Stevie is like, nope, white chocolate.
Ooh, that's even better. Or milk chocolate. Which one do you prefer, milk chocolate or white chocolate or both?
She's a white
I
chocolate.
like dark
fan.
chocolate. I like a bitter chocolate.
They say dark chocolate is good for you.
It's better for you, yeah. Supposedly.
Well, it's not so overwhelming.
But I'd rather have milk chocolate.
You know those little snack size Hershey bars. If you get the multi-pack of those, I could probably eat 5 or 6 of the dark chocolate ones in a row.
The special dark.
But you eat like 2 of the milk chocolate ones, and you're kind of like on chocolate overload. You know what I mean? They're just so sweet.
Is that your favorite candy bar?
Oh, we lost Eric.
No, I don't. I think if I had to claim a favorite candy bar, it's one that you don't see a lot, and that's a Fifth Avenue bar.
I've never
They're
had
kind of like a Butterfinger, but they're a little bit darker and a little bit richer, I guess, is how I would.
My favorite is the York peppermint patty. I get the sensation. Every time I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation. Do you remember the 1980s commercial of the
But
York
what would you
peppermint
do for a
patty?
Klondike bar? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I love Klondike bars.
They had the best commercials back then. Back in the 80s when, like you're saying,
The peppermint patty
Well,
commercials are
most
funny as
times
hell.
you don't see
all the
Mr. Good Bar.
commercials.
Do y'all remember Mr. Good Bar? The little
Yep.
Mr. Good
Mr.
Bar. You
Goodbar
don't see
has.
that at the cashier when you check
Ruger,
out at the
take care.
grocery
Good
No,
to
store.
see
you
you,
still
buddy.
see them in the snack size multi-pack
Yeah,
deal,
but
but you don't see them
in the
individually.
checkout like the rest. All you see is the popular ones, but not Mr. Good Bar or 100 grand.
Mm-hmm.
The 100 grand that was popular, and paydays. You don't see paydays.
We still see
And
those here.
I
zeros.
see paydays.
Yeah, I see
You see
paydays
paydays?
a
I
lot.
don't.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I see like Kit Kat and the mint Kit Kat and the Heath bar
I
and the
think
Reese's peanut butter
my
cups.
favorite candy would probably be Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah. And
A
then
lot
I'll
of people
go
like
for like
Reese's peanut butter cups.
a peanut chew. I forget who makes it.
Have you ever heard of whatchamacallit? It's a candy bar called whatchamacallit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You don't see that at the cashier when you check out at the grocery store. Was it popular back then? Whatchamacallit?
I think
Yeah,
that's
it's still
regionally
out.
though. I think that's regionally. Up here in the upper Midwest, I still see all those candy bars, and I think they're like maybe some places in the South or on one of the coasts or the other coast. Maybe just regionally, you don't see them distributed the same,
Mhm.
because there's probably things that I don't see here that you see all the time. It's just kind of weird that way. If you think
Have you
about
ever had a
candy
whatchamacallit
companies, if they're going to
candy bar?
mass
Yes, I have.
produce them to try to distribute them evenly to every region would be
Sounds
pretty
yummy,
tough.
Stevie B.
This is what we're doing after the show. Thanks for reminding me. She'll
What are
take
you
peanut
doing?
butter, she'll dump white chocolate chips in it, mix it up, and then put it on a chocolate covered graham cracker.
Sounds
Yeah,
yummy.
and make a sandwich. It's decadent.
It sounds decadent. Have you ever heard of Oreo fudge?
She's
Yeah.
like, oh.
Oreo fudge. Have you
She
ever
just drooled like Homer
made Oreo
Simpson and
fudge for
shit.
Christmas? Hey, it's getting close to Christmas. You got to think about fudge.
We have a
I know a simple
custom
recipe.
fudge shop here that makes like 50 different flavors of fudge.
I know a simple one. A 4-ingredient Oreo fudge. A 4-ingredient Oreo fudge. It has 2 cups of crushed regular Oreos, and then it has a whole entire package of white chocolate chips, Nestle Toll House, a whole entire can of sweetened condensed milk. That's like a 2/3 cup
Rest
of
is
sweetened
sugar,
condensed
isn't it?
milk. It's measured out, and vanilla.
Oh, vanilla.
And what you do is you butter an 8x8 square pan and you set it aside, and then you crush up 2 cups of Oreos, and you set that aside. And then in a saucepan over low heat, stirring constantly, you add the sweet condensed milk and the white chocolate chips, and you have it on low, and you smooth it out till there's no lumps, and then you add 1 teaspoon of McCormick's vanilla extract, and then you mix that well, and then you add the 2 cups of crushed Oreos, mix everything together, pour into the buttered 8x8 square pan, and then press until you can't see the bottom of the pan, and then you put it in the refrigerator 4 to 6 hours and cut it into fudge-like pieces until firm. Voila, Oreo fudge. It's very popular. I make it for Christmas every year for my family, and it's a big hit.
Stevie just said that 4 to 6 hours is brutal when you're waiting for it.
Well,
to
if you
firm
make
up.
it in the morning, you
general.
could have it during the night. for your Christmas party. Come on, we're like 61 days till
Convince
Christmas.
her that while she's licking the spoon.
Or you can make it that night.
She said it would never make it to a party.
Well, you could double the recipe or triple. Double or triple or quadruple.
That's just more that we'll eat.
The party would literally have to be next door, because if you drove it in more than a block, you'd probably.
Now people's going
You'd
to be
have to go home
wondering,
and make
oh,
more.
Oreo fudge for Christmas. I got to make that. Thanks, Mary.
No, that's
Will you be making
simple.
Oreo fudge? See, now you have a decision to make: Oreo fudge or chocolate lasagna, or both.
both.
Both. You would do both,
Holidays are
chocolate
coming
lasagna
up.
and Oreo fudge.
I might have to contact you for the recipes again, but you know, they're simple.
See, if you did a poll and people voted which one that they want to do for Christmas, Oreo fudge or chocolate lasagna, which one would win the poll? Like press
Probably the-
1 for
probably
chocolate.
the Oreo fudge.
Press 1 for chocolate lasagna, or press 2 for Oreo fudge. Which one would win the poll? You think Oreo fudge?
Yeah.
Or will it be a 50-50
No, Oreo fudge.
Oreo fudge?
Oh,
Do you not do polls on your StreamYard? You can do
Nope.
polls.
no reason to. Don't care. No.
Yeah.
Well,
He
I
doesn't
don't
give a shit
blame
what
you.
everybody
You know
else
what I do.
thinks.
Mm. See,
Papa
we got
Craig,
two people already saying two.
happy birthday, buddy. So we've got 2 chocolate fudge, 3 chocolate fudge.
Oreo
let's see.
fudge. Press 1 for chocolate lasagna. Press 2 for Oreo fudge. Got
Yeah,
3 people
chocolate
already
lasagna
saying
was a good-
Oreo fudge. Yeah, if you had a choice.
There's no actual pasta in the
What about you,
chocolate
Jeff?
lasagna,
What
people.
Oreo
I don't
fudge
think
or
I think I would enjoy both of them, but I honestly don't think I could eat more than 2 bites of either, just because
Yeah.
it's.
Rich.
I that's for me, the chocolate stuff is
Jim Bland,
so
what's up?
rich that I could eat, like caramels and butterscotch stuff. But
I'm
when
not
you
a big
start
fan of
talking about
butterscotch.
chocolate, it's like if I ate 2 or 3 chocolate brownies in one day, I could go 2 weeks without eating chocolate again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
3? What's a 3 for?
No rider buys like 3.
See, that's why we can't do polls.
They
Here.
don't want either of them.
That's why we can't do polls here, because people start making up their own.
3
My vote for
other.
number 5.
3 is other.
Oh, the other would be like whatever.
None of the above.
3 is both, I guess. You take a
Could be.
slice of chocolate lasagna and you throw some Oreo fudge on top, and then you cover it in chocolate syrup. And
Yeah.
Have you ever
my
heard of
mom
slutty?
used to. My mom.
Have you ever
used
heard of
to-
slutty brownies before?
I don't
Slutty brownies.
know.
Where have you been, Mom? My God, you said you were going to do a cooking show.
You've
You've never heard of
to come up
slutty
with
brownies.
a good line.
I don't know what to think of the name. It's
Slutty brownies
almost-
is basically 3 ingredients. It's regular brownie mix on the bottom, and cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough, raw, and then you got Oreos in the middle, and then regular brownie mix that you make with eggs, oil, and water, and then you bake it according to the pan size, which is 9 by 13 at 350, and whatever is
Right.
on the bottom of the brownie mix box. And then after it's done, after the slutty brownies are finished, you serve it with a scoop of ice cream, vanilla, and chocolate syrup, like Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Sure.
And you dollop some Cool Whip on top and a cherry on top. That's slutty brownies.
So my
You've
mom
never heard
used
of
to
slutty
make.
brownies? Wow.
My
No,
mom
but
used to
I'm sure
make
she gets
a-
around. I mean, gets around.
My mom used to make a dessert when I was younger
The
that
recipe.
when I think about what was in it, it makes my heart seize up. But she would start out with a crushed layer of Oreos in a cake pan. And then you'd take a half-gallon carton of chocolate ice cream. And when it's about half melted, you'd spoon it all in and smear like an inch thick layer all over in it. and then you'd cover that with chocolate syrup, and then you would take a vanilla carton of ice cream, about half melted, smear a layer of that in, and then you would cover that in caramel and chocolate sauce with crushed peanuts over it. And then you'd stick it in the freezer and make sure it's all refroze again. But I remember, people would sit down and eat like a square that big in a bowl.
Oh, wow.
I'd have like 2 spoonfuls and I'd be like, I can't do it anymore,
Slutty brownies. I'm surprised you never heard of slutty brownies before, Moggs.
No, I never heard of them. Nope. I don't do a lot of like baking or desserts. I'm more of a
Vegetarian.
So
No,
I have to
cooking
ask
like
Mary.
meats and potatoes and rice and like
Yeah, I was gonna
meals.
say, I gotta ask Mary, do you cook any regular food, like regular lasagna or
Who, me?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I cook
I mean,
regular food.
I get the feeling that you're a pretty well established cook in all areas, but I was just curious if you're, do you
Yeah, I
like
cook different
non-dessert
things.
wise,
You're
what's your
pushing
best
pleats.
dish?
Well, it's the
Non-dessert
holiday
wise,
season almost.
non-dessert
You gotta
wise,
give in
what's
a
your
little bit.
best
You gotta
dish,
give in.
Mary?
Tex, what's
Yeah, I
happening,
do.
buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, Jeff, I cook other foods besides sweets. I make other stuff. Tonight I had barbecue baked pork chops with stewed potatoes and green bean casserole.
Nice.
So
Texas,
if we
Texas toast.
eliminate desserts from the discussion, what is your best dish that you cook?
What is my best
Yeah, I
dish?
mean, if everybody's coming over and you're going to show off your skills, I mean,
What's for dinner?
It would
what's for
probably
dinner?
be probably fried chicken. My version of fried chicken would be a whole lot better than KFC's or Bojangles chicken.
Do you bread it in Oreo crumbs or?
No, I bread it in
No,
flour.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I bread it in flour.
Mashed potatoes and chocolate gravy and. No, I'm joking. But I love fried chicken, and quite honestly, it is something that a lot of people don't make
with
anymore.
Nashville hot chicken. Have you
Say
ever
that?
had of Nashville is popular for hot chicken, spicy hot chicken.
Haven't had it yet.
I'm not into the hot spicy chicken, but I do my own chicken. So I like to cook my own food. Mine is a whole lot better
KFC
than
even picked it up
KFC's and
nationally.
Bojangles. We have a Bojangles. It's a restaurant. It's similar to KFC.
Yeah, no, I love Bojangles.
I've had Bojangles and I didn't much care for it because it tasted similar to KFC to me.
Yeah, Stevie just said their dirty rice is awesome, and their chicken's good as well. But no, I love our home cooked meal. I prefer to cook than go out.
So I got a question for you. On Thanksgiving, okay, you got your traditional Thanksgiving spread. Are you a person that takes a plate and puts the turkey here and the mashed potatoes and gravy here and the stuffing here and the corn here? I mean, like for me, I put down like a scoop of mashed potatoes, throw turkey on it with gravy, and throw corn over the top of it. So it's almost like a KFC bowl, right?
Bowl.
And then other people will compartmentalize all the items. And then they'll eat all of one before they move to the next. And
I don't get that.
I don't know how you do that.
And then people don't like their food to touch. It's like, oh, come on.
Well,
dude,
for
just
me,
mix that shit up and
I'm
eat it.
more like the first one, Jeff. I put like turkey, and then make room for the other sides.
Yeah,
goes along with the Thanksgiving meal, like cranberry sauce and green bean casserole. We don't.
That's why they
created
created those rectangular styrofoam plates with the dividers for the people who don't want their food to touch and they want it all separate.
I don't have those, but I do. I use paper plates. I use the Dixie paper plates, and I just try to make room for the sides after I get my turkey and the bread and the cranberry sauce and
I don't
the yams, the sweet
compartmentalize.
potatoes.
No, I mean, it's all going to touch it eventually once you eat it, right?
Well, if you have a full plate, it's going to touch no matter what.
Yeah.
It's going to taste good no matter what.
Well, like
So-
we had rice and beans last night. Stevie put the rice here and the beans next to it. I put the beans on top of the rice. You know, it was like,
Voila.
I mean, maybe my third time through the line, I'll not touch the foods, but
Does it gross you out when food touch each other?
no,
No.
like
I
I say,
mix them up.
it's one of those things that when people are kind of anal retentive about that thing, I don't really get that.
No, that is odd.
It's like by that definition or by that thinking, you should drink a big swallow of water after every bite of food so that you get the taste out of your mouth before
Clean
you
the palate.
eat
Yeah.
the next one, right? But
Well, Thanksgiving meal has a lot of calories, so if you're watching your calories, good luck.
yeah,
Last
there's a
year
lot
we
A
of
lot of
had
calories,
When you
Thanksgiving.
carbs.
talk mashed potatoes and stuffing, and I mean, we're talking it's a high carb.
And for the
menu.
diabetics out there, ooh, it's going to shoot up their sugar. Because carbs is nothing but sugar. Bread is sugar.
Yeah,
So if you're going to have bread
starch
with
and bread.
with your meal, and you're going to have a lot of other carbs and starches, for a diabetic, they have to really watch out. And if people can't handle, if they have the celiac disease, they can't do wheat or dairy, that's going to be really hard. Because a lot of people put butter in mashed potatoes and butter in sweet yams.
Damn, now I'm hungry again.
What did you
Yeah,
eat
it's funny
earlier?
Normally on like a show night, I don't eat until after the show.
I was gonna say, usually you're talking about how as soon as the show's over, you
I'm
and
going
Steve are
to eat.
gonna run to wherever, and
Yeah, no, and today it was like we grabbed something real quick before the show, and because I didn't have time to cook, and
What did you
I
grab?
figured, oh, I'd be good, and huh?
What did you grab before the show?
Steak and shake.
Steak and shake.
Yeah, I grabbed just a burger and fries. Onion
if you
rings.
look at where fast food prices have gone, you just as well go to Texas Roadhouse or something like
I
that.
love Texas Roadhouse.
I hauled my two teenagers through Burger King, and we were on our way home, and I said, let's just get you guys 2 double bacon cheeseburgers and 2 medium fries. We don't need to order anything to drink. We're going home. We got plenty of stuff at home. 2 bacon double cheeseburgers. We're not talking about the Big King gigantic things. We're talking about, the normal bacon double cheeseburgers. And 2 medium fries was $15.01.
Wow.
You can buy 2 pizzas for that price at a lot of places it's crazy.
Well, I bought a pizza months ago, and it was like for one medium topping, it was like $12.99. But with the delivery and the
every
fees and
place is
everything, it came
different.
out to like almost $40.
You got to look at where the deals are. Like, do you guys have Casey's gas stations there? A lot of them have turned into Circle K's now up here, but Casey's used to have great pizza there at their gas stations. They had a counter where they had pizza ovens and stuff. And there was like one day a week where you'd buy a pizza for $10 and the second one was half price, for single toppings. And so for $15, you get 2 large pizzas, Whereas you walk into, Godfather's Pizza Hut, wherever, and you order a large pizza and it's like $26. It's like, what the hell?
Howdy,
And
Ted.
here's Tex. We aren't going to talk pizza without Tex popping in probably and having.
It's just food in general.
Well, somebody said they've never been to a Texas Roadhouse before. Girl, it's the bomb. It's a popular restaurant.
The last place I had a steakout was at Outback Steakhouse. Wasn't.
And Outback is traditionally quite different than most steakhouses, just because they flat top all their steaks. They aren't flame grilled; they're done on a flat top or a griddle.
Catherine,
and
you
it
have to
has its
try them
own
out.
flavor. It's a different. I mean, it's a different experience. You know what I mean? But it's still good.
What's your favorite type of restaurant to go to, Jeff?
I dig Buffalo Wild Wings or someplace that has wings.
Yeah.
We have a lot of
Mhm.
sports bars here that are knockoffs of Buffalo Wild Wings that still have their own 15 wings. Some of them have some really creative sauces like peanut butter and jelly wings, where
Ugh,
it's a little bit of hot sauce in it, but it's peanut
that
butter
sounds
and grape
Texas
jelly.
hates
disgusting.
it at all. He's
Sounds
like, "Yeah."
disgusting until you eat one, and it's like,
That's
holy shit,
disgusting.
these are pretty good.
Peanut butter and jelly wings? No way. I'd rather have garlic parmesan wings.
Well, if you've ever had wings that have like a Thai peanut sauce on
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
it's a lot like that.
Okay.
Ugh.
What's your
I'd rather have
favorite
garlic parmesan.
food,
Have you ever
Tex?
had garlic parmesan
My
wings?
favorite food.
Sure. Yeah, I mean barbecue or Italian. Who knows?
If y'all can't tell, I ain't picky.
Yeah. Your favorite restaurant is?
Oh, man, that's hard to narrow down, really, because it depends on what type of food I'm after. I was talking about steak, and I had the best store-bought steak that I've ever had in my life in Jefferson, Texas. And
What
it's
kind of steak was it?
a ribeye,
Mm.
and
Oh, those are the best.
it was, you could cut it with a fork.
Yeah,
And
all
I put-
ribeyes aren't really created equal. If you can find one with the right marbling, the right
Mhm.
thickness, it's
I like a New York strip steak or a filet mignon.
my favorite cut of steak is T-bone,
yeah.
because you get that New York strip and you get that other one too.
Sure.
Do you use a steak sauce? Do you use A1s or Heinz 57
You know
whenever
what?
you eat a
Or
steak?
either.
If you've got to use a steak sauce on a steak, it is not a good steak.
Yeah.
Period.
I use A1 steak sauce.
I think if I'm having a ribeye or a steak that has the right marbling in it, you definitely
You
don't
don't
want to
need-
use a steak sauce.
Yeah.
Now, I've had some New York strips that really don't have any fat marbling in it that are really tender, and I've had some New York strips that are a little bland because of their lack of marbling, and I could see where maybe you throw a little A1 or something with that. But
Well, now I won't say I won't use a steak sauce, but I taste the steak first
yeah,
before I decide. If it,
Sure.
and like I said, if it needs steak sauce, it wasn't a good steak to start with.
Yeah, a lot of the
Yeah.
restaurants usually they season the steak just a little bit before you taste it to see if it needs a steak sauce. Some restaurants do not season them, but others do. I noticed whenever I went to Logan's Roadhouse, they seasoned my steak because it tasted like they seasoned it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to add more seasoning, but after I tasted it the first bite, I'm like, nope, it's good. Don't need no extra salt or pepper. It's just right.
if
Well,
I'm
when I cook a steak, I use salt, pepper, garlic, and butter. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. And honestly, you're not. A lot of people, they over season their steaks, and they hide the flavor of the steak, because
Yeah.
the steak has a flavor of its own.
And
like
the
some of
number one
those
thing-
steak seasonings, like Montreal steak seasoning,
Yeah.
they have dill in it, and I
Right.
mean it is like a really pungent.
It
Kick
can,
in
it
the
can be
throat,
overpowering.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget after you cook a steak, you're supposed to let it rest for 5
Mhm.
minutes.
At least.
Because if
Yeah.
you don't let it rest, it won't be juicy. If
Yep.
you don't if the steak isn't rested properly. And then you have to cut it properly too. And a lot
And
of
you
people
can
get
take-
mixed up on
A lot of people
cutting it.
don't know that you can take a steak that's not a very prime cut. You can get a cheaper steak, and you salt it on both sides, and then let it set for a couple hours, and it will be tender like
Tenderize. Yeah.
yeah, it will tenderize the steak. Of course, you
Mhm.
wash the salt off and then you cook steak or wipe it off. But that will tenderize the steak and make it a better steak after you cook it.
I watched some YouTube videos here this past week of these guys who are like the grill masters, right? I mean, there's a lot of channels out there, guys who have this down to a science. And one of them, what they did was they took a New York strip, and while it was raw, they put it like in a high-sided bread pan. They put a layer of mayo in it, threw the steak in it, covered it with another layer of mayo so it's completely submerged, and threw that metal pan in their grill with a probe in that steak and cooked it to 125 degrees, which isn't done yet. Took it out, wiped all the mayo off it, and then hot seared both sides like you would normally grill it. And they said it was these guys were saying this was the best steak that they'd ever grilled. And I've never heard of anybody doing that before. But
mayonnaise on
there's
steak.
something that the vinegar and the egg and whatnot in that mayo must tenderize it or do something to make that better. But
yeah, some kind of marinade or something going on there.
yeah,
Well, a lot of people do Dale's seasoning or Worcestershire.
My favorite steak growing up was a chuck steak, but I can't find them the way I used to like growing up. They were always thick. Out west,
yeah,
it was like
chuck roast now. You don't see chuck steaks a lot. One of the things we used to do with the cheaper cuts of steaks, like an arm steak or a chuck steak, was, or even if you had like sirloin tips where it's not like the heart of the sirloin, what I would do is take a gallon Ziploc bag and I would put a half a cup of soy sauce in it and a cup of like ancient age whiskey or some type of whiskey that has that pungent oak barrel taste to it, right? I mean, it's not like a Canadian whiskey. It's one that's hits you right, like Maker's Mark would or something. You put a cup of that in with some of that and just let it sit for about 2 hours and then grill it. And you'll have that oak barrel whiskey flavor kind of in that steak. And man, that's really good on a cheaper steak. It's freaking awesome, you know. I don't know that I do that to a ribeye, but
I've done it with London broil and blackberry brandy.
What's a London broil?
It's a
I've never seen a London broil.
There's usually no fat on it.
Yeah.
It's thicker. It's a grilling steak.
Isn't it maybe I'm wrong, but isn't it the center of like an arm? Like they take a big arm roast and cut it into a steak. But you're right, they'll have usually a fat cap around the outside of it, but the inside's just like solid red with no marbling at all.
Yeah. I've never had a London broil. I don't know what it looks like.
Typically, it was a cut of meat that you would bake. You would put like onions and some sauce and glaze on it, and you'd bake it rather than grill it. But you'd
sort of like a pot roast
or broil it.
Yeah, you
broil it. That's hence the term.
You broil it, but it works good on a grill as well.
Yeah, it does.
Because you can get your
Are they expensive? London broils, are they expensive?
Now every steak's expensive.
Yeah, that's cheaper to buy the cow.
Shitty steaks are $6.99 a pound
anymore. You know what? I had Wagyu for the first time a few months ago, and I was not impressed.
No, and there's different grades of Wagyu. You know, there's A1 and A2 and double A1, depending on how much fat. You'll get to a point where it's almost like 50-50 fat marbled to meat. And some of them are so rich that they're hard for a lot of people to eat, really. I mean,
well, I'll tell you what, Richie Evans just, the Himalayan sea salt, fresh cracked pepper, and butter. Yeah, that's. I throw a little minced garlic on mine and rub it down too. But you don't want to burn your garlic. A lot of people do
garlic salt instead of garlic powder.
They have a salt here that it may be regional. I don't know. Maybe you guys, if you've seen it or look for it in your store, it's called Jane's Crazy Salt. And what it is it's a coarse ground Himalayan sea salt, I think, with some dried celery that's ground into it, and some different, like 3 different kinds of peppercorns ground into it. And I went to one of the lockers where I get deer processed at, and instead of the jerky that they make is called whole muscle jerky, where you slice the meat into slices and you actually season it and smoke it rather than grind it up, put it in a tube, and pump it out into strips like a lot of jerky is at some. But whole muscle jerky, what they were doing is, every time I taste, God, this flavor is so cool. And I asked them, what is it? And they wouldn't tell me. Finally, I met somebody who worked there, and he said, it's Jane's Crazy Salt. And so I went to the store, and I seen you could buy a thing of Jane's Crazy Salt. It comes in a round cardboardy type deal with a dial at the top, and started sprinkling on my steaks when I grill it, and that's all I use now. But even here, I only see it at 1 or 2 grocery stores, and there's other grocery stores that don't carry it. And so I'm wondering how regional it is, or if it's in other people's areas too. But it's pretty simple, though. Coarse ground peppers with coarse ground sea salt, and they put a little bit of dried crushed celery into it just for that peppery taste too. But
Tracy says they want to do away with beef and have plant and soy meat. People are freaking nutter butters. Cow farts are bad for the environment.
Well, I can tell you there are certain states that you can move to right now that will never do that. And up here in the Dakotas and down there in Texas are a few of them that you will never see. I mean, that's our livelihood, is livestock and cows and steaks and meat. I don't care how many people move here and say I'm vegan. We aren't going to change. It's just, it'll never change in that.
I gotta have meat. If I'm gonna eat something, I gotta have meat with it.
I ain't got nothing against a vegan, vegetarian, or anything like that. Just
to each his own.
Yeah,
exactly. I would say there's a lot of, fiscally, I'm probably conservative, a lot of social issues. I may be more in the middle of the road, but that libertarian idea of I'll live my life the way that I want to, and I think you should be able to live your life however you want to. Just don't affect the way that I live mine. You want to marry your pickup truck? Go ahead. I could give a shit, but don't tell me what I can and can't do. And I think that is, in this day and age, the culture is getting so far out of whack that I think it's pretty easy for a lot of people to subscribe to that theory. I don't care how you want to live your life, but don't tell me how to live mine.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
Apparently not.
Yeah, not in this community. We can't. Good God.
No. No.
We can.
Mr. Lee 3PO says he doesn't like celery. I love celery. What's wrong with celery?
Well,
man, how do you eat bone-in hot wings without celery and blue cheese dressing?
Right.
I love celery. Ants on a log. It's good.
Ants on a log, celery,
you
peanut
know,
butter, and
okay,
raisins, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. What if you got to request a last meal? What would it be?
That's
My last meal
question.
Probably have to do a steak. I would have to do a steak, like a filet mignon and a good loaded baked potato and a house salad. And I gotta have sweet tea.
My last meal would be a Thanksgiving meal. I don't know, 20 years from now.
20 years. We're fixing to head into Thanksgiving next month.
Got to be a loophole somewhere. Damn it.
Next month.
I always said I'm going to live to 124, so it's a long time.
I like how some people's last meal requests are like such a hodgepodge, like stuff that doesn't really go together, but it was like they're like, I want Dungeness crab and chicken and waffles, and it's like, wait a minute here.
Mine would be my favorite meal, period, all over. is meatloaf and mashed potatoes.
It's hard to beat a good meatloaf.
Period.
Southern comfort food right there.
Yep.
Indeed.
You have to make a good meatloaf. You can't eat a dry meatloaf. You got to have it
Oh,
good.
Yeah, we don't have a choice in who makes it if it's our last meal. So
That's true.
Yeah. Mine will be a steak dinner.
Reminds
No
me of
doubt.
Wedding Crashers. Mom, meatloaf.
Have you ever had a good meatloaf?
I
Or-
make meatloaf, and I'll tell you what I think one of the most important ingredients are. And I use about 2/3, 80% ground beef, and about 1/3 ground pork. Not seasoned ground pork, just ground pork. You mix that all together. I don't care what you want to glaze it with or whatever, but when you're mixing it up, some fresh rosemary in it, just some sprigs of fresh rosemary. Man, I'll tell you what, the flavor that puts in it. A lot of people will go to a restaurant and have a really good meatloaf, and they don't get why it's that good. A lot of those restaurants use fresh rosemary in it. And I don't know if there's anything else I ever cook and put fresh rosemary in, to be honest.
Have you ever had of a bacon? Have you ever heard of a bacon cheeseburger meatloaf? A bacon cheeseburger meatloaf?
Does it have shredded cheddar cheese and bacon bits in it?
I don't remember, but I think so. I'm not sure. It's from Paula Deen. She made a bacon cheeseburger meatloaf. I tried it out, and it was not great.
Well, when I mix up the ground beef and the ground pork, I'll put, like, a lot of people will use crushed saltines or some type of a binder, like a crushed cracker. I like using crushed club crackers because I think they crumble finer than like saltines do.
No, they have that buttery taste to them too.
Couple eggs in it, and then you just mush it all up, and it binds it nice and tight.
My mom used to use rice instead of breadcrumbs.
Yeah. My mom used to make big meatballs that she'd put the rice in,
Do you eat meatloaf, Moggs? Do you make a meatloaf?
I do. I do. I love meatloaf.
How do you make your meatloaf?
Normally, like, if I can't find the mix of like the pork and the beef, it'll just usually be beef and eggs and breadcrumbs and some sort of either a ketchup or a barbecue sauce, just for some moisture and flavor. I don't go crazy with meatloafs. It's not like I'm making for 10
you
people.
got to take the ketchup and do the zigzag across the top of it, before you put
some sort of glaze.
The problem is when if you're gonna make meatloaf, by the time you buy 3 pounds of burger at $5.99 a pound and a pound or pound and a half of ground pork and all the other crap, you're like, shit, I could have bought 3 steaks for that much money. I mean, that
is true. But if you were making a meatloaf, what type of sides would you have along with it?
I think mashed potatoes with a good corn, beef gravy.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes.
Green beans.
Yeah.
Either sweet corn on the cob if it's in season.
Yeah, I think it's a requisite that mashed potatoes go with meatloaf. It's just if
I'll even do my version of a shepherd's pie sometimes and take a pie plate and make my meatloaf in there and then cook my meatloaf and then cover it with mashed potatoes and then throw it back in the oven and brown them a little bit.
Damn.
I love a shepherd's pie if it's made right.
But yeah, it's and Stevie B brought up cornbread. Now it depends what kind of cornbread. I don't like a sweet cornbread.
I love sweet cornbread.
I like a Mexican cornbread. Yeah.
Sweet cornbread is more. I love it because it's perfect, tastes perfect. I don't much care for a regular cornbread because that's too dry and crumbly to me. Do you use an iron skillet to do your cornbread in, or?
Oh yeah.
Down south we call them hoe cakes.
And fried cornbread or corn pone is what we call them down here.
I call them hoe cakes.
But
Hoe cakes are like pancakes almost.
yeah, that's kind of how these are. But I guess I don't know. I've always grew up calling corn pone, and it's just fried cornbread about this big around, about that thick. You know,
But you-
all the food. You know,
like the savory flavor with it rather than the sweet.
yeah. Because I'm
What
not.
about you, Moggs? Do you ever make your own cornbread, or do you buy cornbread at the store?
I'm not huge on cornbread. I like it, but I don't. It's not something I go out of my way for. So I really don't make it too much. But there is a lot you can do with it, like jalapenos and the putting cheese in it or whatever. There is a lot you can do with it, but I don't do it.
A lot of people just make cornbread muffins with rather than actually taking
Yeah.
the time to do it the right way in a skillet. But
And it's also good for stuffing to use as well.
Oh yeah. That's when we make the most cornbread around here is during Thanksgiving and stuff. Christmas. Make cornbread stuffing.
Do you ever fry your turkey, or do you bake it in the oven, or both?
I have, I've fried them, I've smoked them,
That's what we would do.
But I actually prefer just a plain old butterball baked turkey.
yeah,
Because I'm not much of a turkey fan anyway. I'm really not.
if you got
too
enough
dry.
people there to eat the whole damn turkey, I just assume put it in the oven and just bake it. But if you're making a big turkey for 4 people and you're going to have leftovers and stuff, a lot of times, it's hard to keep that from drying out, and you're going to have to make a casserole or soup or something with it. One of my favorite things to do with turkey is to smoke it, but I don't smoke it all the way till its internal temperature is up right. I smoke it until it takes that smoke cap
The ring,
on it.
yeah.
And then I'll put it in a pan and coat it in butter and bake it like I would a normal turkey. So it's going to come out baked with the crispy skin, but it has that smoke flavor to it.
Well, I saw somebody in the chat earlier say they don't like mesquite flavor. And the thing about mesquite is you really, really have to watch it, because you can overpower your whatever you're cooking with mesquite because it's so pungent. And if you'll throw just a handful of chips when you first on your base wood is like your oak or your pecan, and you'll throw a handful of mesquite chips, or hickory's the same way. You can overpower meat with hickory too. Just throw a handful of chips on there that you soaked in wood when you first put it in there. Get that little smoke on there, and then just go with your base woods.
Sometimes what I'll do is I'll soak, like if I'm using apple chips, wood chips, something like that, I'll soak those for a long time so that they smolder for a longer time. If I'm using mesquite, a lot of times what I'll do is just get them in water and get them out right away so it's not saturated. And it'll throw that mesquite flavor and smoke, but they'll burn up faster so that, it's only going to smoke for half an hour and the chips are burnt up rather than still smoldering away an hour and a half from now.
My mother-in-law recently bought an electric smoker, and I'd never used one before. And that's a whole new learning curve. Because I'm used to babysit, when you go smoke a brisket, I'm used to babysitting it all night long and stoking the fire and everything like that. I feel like I'm cheating when I'm used to the electric smoker.
But you're smoking with wood. I've only smoked with propane and wood chips. I guess electric isn't that far off from that. From propane,
I prefer to to old school it, with feeding the wood in there and stoking, cutting the dampers back, and I don't know. It's just all part of it to me.
For a lot of people, myself included, if I'm going to smoke something, I'm there for 3-4 hours. That's my focus. You know, I mean, if you're an electric smoker is great for somebody to plug it in and set the temp. They don't have to worry about it climbing on them when they didn't expect it.
Yeah.
You don't have to babysit it. I don't know if it's going to be as good, but I mean, it's certainly going to be good. But I don't as good as doing it with wood. You know, whether it's I've seen those Orion smokers. I've actually got one that's like it's about, you know, this round, and it's like a tall silo with 3 grates in it, and it's got hangers in it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the outside of this cap, and then everything's sealed, on the outside there's a tray around it where you put charcoal in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you burn that charcoal to create the heat inside of that silo, and you put your wood chips in, by the drip pan and stuff inside of it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about those is I can put 3-4 racks of ribs in there, and literally in an hour and a half, they're done. I mean, they're as good as you would have got them in 6 hours on a wood smoker. It's incredibly how fast it cooks.
Huh.
But if I had to choose, I'd just assume have a firebox on the side, throwing the smoke through it and taking the time to do it right. And when you got the right cap, you know, that 1/4, 1/3 inch thickness of smoke coloring on it, crank up the heat and stop the smoke and finish it off, you know. But it's that's like babysitting 5 freaking little kids. You know, I mean, it's a job.
Yeah, that's basically the old Ryan smoker comes off the old trash can smoker idea. That's all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are Ryan smokers. You can still get them new on Amazon for $130, $140.
Yeah.
What I like about them is they're portable. I could throw it in the tailgate of my truck, haul it to the football game, and tailgate with it. You don't need propane. You don't need an extension cord. But
I'm impressed that it cooks that quickly.
No, it's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah.
I can I can put 2 full 10-pound pork butts in there, and in 2.5 hours they're falling off the blade. They're done.
Wow. Because I always cook low and slow, you know.
Well, and I like using, you know, on Amazon I got a kit for like $32 where you got 4 internal probes in the kit. They're all different colors. You know, one's red, one's blue, one's yellow. They're numbered. You have the controller thing that's out there. You put the probes in your roast or whatever, your pork butts. And inside you can look on your phone, or you got the receiver in that shows you probe number 1 is this temp, probe number 2 is this temp. You can't fuck it up, so to speak, if you got that. I mean,
yeah, that's don't use. I think I've used a probe once. You know, cooking something in a electric smoker.
They're pretty slick. A lot of electric smokers, like if you buy a gas grill on one half and the other half's got an electric smoker on it, they actually have a probe wired into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those wireless probe kits where you can get 4 of them, a kit of 4 of them for like $30, man, you can't beat that. You can use them. I don't care where you're grilling and what you're grilling on. You can't screw it up.
I smoked a prime rib once. That was good. That was really good. Cut it off the bone first and then set it back on the rack and let it smoke.
If you got a good size smoker and you're burning wood to smoke, you know, from a firebox, it's pretty hard to beat smoking a big brisket on it. I mean, it is amazing. I don't know if I wouldn't try a brisket in an electric smoker. I wouldn't try it in a but you do it mostly because right now a full brisket's like $140. You know, they're stupid how much you used to be able to buy a full brisket for $38 at Walmart 2 years ago.
Well, what's crazy is a brisket.
The poor man's cut.
It was the slaves that started cooking the brisket because that's what their owners would give them because it was a sorry cut of meat.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing with lobster. They used to feed the slaves lobster. They didn't. The white people didn't eat lobster at first. True story.
It's funny regionally, you know, depending on what your resources are. Like here here in the Dakotas and upper Midwest, you can go into a steakhouse and, for $22 get a 20-ounce ribeye, still. And I remember being out on Martha's Vineyard at the Black Dog restaurant there on Martha's Vineyard, which is it's a pretty famous place. Although when you go in there, where you sit down is like picnic tables, like wooden picnic tables inside the restaurant. You go there, a 16-ounce T-bone steak would be like $90. And yet a lobster, you can order a whole lobster for like $12.50. Here a lobster costs you about $45 for one lobster.
What's funny is when I remember being in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and they cooked a steak, and it was like a freaking hockey puck. It was horrible. But I think that was for like, I can't remember what special deal it was, but then for like, I think it was Christmas or something, we had lobster because it was so freaking cheap.
I don't eat fish. I'm not a fan of fish.
Oh, I do.
So
man, I grew up catching.
I don't eat anything out of the sea.
I made catfish 2 nights in a row.
I think one of the
tacos and then sandwiches.
Fish.
One of the tricks to frying fish, and I would say I treat chicken the same way if I'm going to fry chicken, is double dredging it. And a lot of people don't do that, but I'll take whatever your seasoning is, your flour-based seasoning, put it in a bowl, and in another bowl, mix up, beat up a couple eggs with either a little bit of milk, a little bit of buttermilk, whatever in it. And a lot of people will put it in the wet, put it in the dry, and fry it. I put it in the dry first and coat the fillet, put it in the wet, and then dredge it back in the dry again. So you're double dredging it. And you will get a thicker, crisper coating that does not fall off when you flip those fillets over and stuff. But
it's kind of like
we do
your
a fish
flour,
fry.
egg, and breadcrumbs. Like
a lot of people.
That's what I do.
Flour, eggs.
I use a cornmeal based.
A lot of people do cornmeal whenever they fry fish.
But a lot of people don't understand when you're deep frying fish. Like when we have a big fridge fry. If you put your fish in, and when it floats, if you like a more meaty texture, it's done.
Yeah.
And if you like the more done and more flaky, when it floats, and then this is fillets, when it floats and flips on its own, it's done.
And people don't really understand how fast that chicken fish cooks. I mean,
right.
You can we take walleye fillets, big crappie fillets. You catch 1.5 pound crappies where you got a pretty good sized fillet that's about that thick. You double dredge that and throw it in a vat of oil or in your deep fryer. 3 minutes, you're done. I mean, you don't. If you're going longer than that, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. Whereas chicken, you got to be careful temperature-wise on the oil because a lot of times you'll get the right golden brown for the chicken, but by the time you get the meat done, all of a sudden it's getting too dark on the breading. But fish, I mean, you throw fish fillets that are breaded, by the time that breading looks right, I'll guarantee you the fish is cooked. You don't have to worry about a fish fillet being raw.
Yeah, and what I'll do when I'm doing a fish fry is I'll cook a batch of fish, and then I'll cook a batch of potatoes. And then I'll cook a batch of fish, and then I'll cook a batch of potatoes. Because the potatoes draws that fishy taste out of your grease, but it doesn't pick it up, and it keeps it cleaner.
Interesting.
That will allow you actually doing it that way too. And you have to make your last thing you cook is a batch of potatoes, but that will allow you, if you strain, as long as you strain your grease, you can reuse it, and it won't pick up that nasty taste. But
and what do you
something about the
with?
starch in the potatoes that draws that out?
Just a regular strainer. I mean, you're just getting all the
to get the bits out. Okay.
Yeah, just get the big stuff out. That's all you're doing.
So like what do you call it?
One of those
Fried
wire.
potatoes. Have you ever had fried potatoes with onions and peppers? So
Yeah.
good.
It's one of my things. I love making breakfast.
Oh, me too.
So my thing is
Okay, I got a
fried.
question for you. Do you use what type of sausage do you like to use? And do you use bacon or thin slice or a thick cut of bacon?
It
Depends what I
depends
have.
if I'm camping or at home. If I'm camping, you can't beat frying up some bacon, setting it aside, and then what I'll do is I'll make pancakes, and I'll make big ones, because what I like to, the perfect campfire breakfast to me is you take one big pancake on your plate, you put about 3 or 4 eggs over easy on the pancake, douse it with a little syrup, throw your bacon in there, and flip another pancake on and douse it with syrup, and just eat the whole thing.
Do you do donuts or honey buns?
Oh, pretty much do either if they're available.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll eat what you
Oh,
brung.
which one do you have? Which one do you like most? Donuts
Well, all
or honey
donuts
buns?
aren't created equal. I mean, it
No.
depends on the donut, what
That's
type
true.
of donut.
That's true.
Have you ever had a fried honey bun?
Oh yeah, griddled. Yeah, man, that's
Oh my
hard to
gosh,
beat.
that's
I
so
think
good.
it's pretty hard to beat those old fashioned sour
A fried honey
cream
bun with the ice cream on top.
donuts.
With a
Those
scoop of
old
ice cream.
More
fashioned
of a
style
fritter.
donuts that have
I
the
like
little bit of a
fritters
twirl in it.
more than donuts. Yeah.
You like what, Mugs?
Fritters, like an apple fritter or a
Fritter.
blueberry fritter. That's more me than a donut.
What about
You know
muffins?
what? I have not had a blueberry fritter,
Oh,
but
really?
that I am
No,
going
I've
to hunt
seen
one
those
down.
here.
Now that sounds great. I
Oh.
love apple fritters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had a choice between muffins or cinnamon rolls, what would you choose?
Well, there's so many different. Cinnamon roll is a cinnamon roll, but muffins, you can, there's so many different flavors. So I guess it would depend on.
I had a friend that asked me on another stream, is a cupcake a muffin?
Hmm.
You think
That's a good
a
question.
cupcake is a muffin?
It depends.
Because a muffin is not
Okay,
frosted, but a cupcake
Well, I was just
is.
gonna say that's what it depends
If
on.
you make a muffin in a paper liner cup,
Is that a cupcake?
it's pretty similar to a cupcake, because you can't make a cupcake hardly without using the thing. But you see people will make muffins without using those a lot, depending on. I think the big thing is if you're going to make a muffin that doesn't rise and spill over the top of the container, just the little shallower muffins, you really don't need cups for them. But if you're going to make one that spills over and gets the big top on it, it's going to burn. Those lips will burn to the edge, or you can't get them out,
Do you eat muffins or do you prefer cinnamon rolls?
If I can get hot, fresh cinnamon rolls, yeah.
You can't beat those. Cinnabon.
Cinnabons?
Cinnabon style cinnamon rolls.
Yum.
All right. Well, I think I've gained 5 pounds this
Yeah,
show.
we
I haven't eaten
nobody.
damn
Notice
right.
how we went 3 hours, Mugs. Nobody's complained about the duration show because we're talking about food.
Food and not
last
fishing.
2/3 of it.
We just have
Well, I
to.
came up here just to hang out and talk, and y'all were
Everybody in
talking about
chat.
something before I
Everybody's
came.
in chats going, "You some bitches can go till 6 a.m. as long as you keep talking about cinnamon rolls and donuts and."
No, actually, we've been at this 3 hours.
Do you prefer cinnamon rolls or muffins, Mog?
I think that goes back to it depends on the muffin
Muffins.
because there's so many different flavors.
What about you, Tex?
Oh, if it, like I said, if it's hot, fresh cinnamon rolls, I'm gonna go cinnamon roll.
Do you make it homemade or do you buy the can?
Like Pillsbury.
That's a Mrs. Tex thing.
You buy the Pillsbury can, Mogs?
I don't know.
Pils-
I don't make a lot of that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I'll cook a dinner, but I don't get into desserts. I'd rather buy something pre-made.
I think for me, if I'm going to make cinnamon rolls, the idea of making the right dough with the yeast and it rising and you puncture it down, let it
Yeah.
rise again and roll it out. I like going through and doing all that, but mostly because in the end, when you take them out of the oven, there's this feeling like, holy shit, I made that. Whereas, if you're going to make the Pillsbury ones, they're going to come out right.
You know what to expect.
Mhm.
It's like there's no sense of accomplishment there. But then again, you got to have 3 hours to kill to make cinnamon rolls from scratch, because by the time it rises and by the time you roll it out, put the butter down, the brown sugar, all that, roll them up, make the icing, the cream cheese frosting or whatever for the end. That's a lot of work, man.
So you rather do canned cinnamon rolls than making your homemade?
No,
You rather buy
if I
canned
make
ones?
them, I'm making them myself. I ain't gonna make them from a can, but I just don't make them that often.
I'll tell you what, last time we was out in the field, I made biscuits in the Dutch oven on the open fire. And
You make sausage gravy and all that with it?
Yep.
Oh, I love biscuits
Oh,
and gravy.
man.
Red eye gravy. Have you ever heard of red eye gravy?
Oh, yeah. Make it with
I
coffee.
love red eye gravy. Yum. So good.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, guys, I don't want to spoil this.
We're making Moggs hungry.
No. It's just getting late.
You
It
don't
is-
like Pillsbury cinnamon rolls, Tracy? What's wrong with you? You don't go hoo-hoo.
You have to poke her in the stomach, though. You know.
That's
Remember
me.
the commercial where you poke the little dough thing, and he'll say that?
I find myself, I don't know if you guys do, but I find myself at the store looking at something that's made. Like, you can go to Cinnabon and look at what's a 6-pack of those costs, right? And you
Yeah.
think, holy shit, that's a lot of money. Then you
Can't
start
stand the
factoring
smell.
in the work it takes if you're going to make them yourself and the cost.
Yeah.
By the time you buy all those ingredients, it's actually a pretty good deal to spend $22 for 6 cinnamon rolls, because I don't think you could make them at home for less than that by the time you buy everything and put your time into it.
See, in the canned cinnamon rolls, they got like 8 cinnamon rolls. Can you eat 8 cinnamon
Yeah,
rolls?
but those are, they're wussy
Yeah.
cinnamon rolls. It's
They're
not
like
a
mini
man cinnamon
size.
roll. Tex would have to eat 4 or 5 of them damn things to feel like he ate a cinnamon roll.
Can you eat
Yeah,
a
I'd never do
entire
something like
can of
that.
cinnamon rolls? Would you be able to eat a whole entire can
Oh, I could
of
eat a
cinnamon
whole can.
rolls if somebody dared you?
Who needs a dare?
You
I just need
make some
milk.
good sausage gravy. I'll eat a whole 8-pack of biscuits too by the time you get those baked up.
I don't do canned biscuits. I'd rather make homemade biscuits.
I mean, I might be stuck in a lawn chair the whole rest of the day around the campfire, but I'll get her done.
Right on. Well, I want to thank you guys for hanging out.
Yeah,
It's been a while, Tex. Don't be a stranger, man. You got to show up
I
more
know.
often.
been cool.
I'm trying to get back. I'm working this night shift thing again. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. So, I'm going to start doing a late night show.
Oh, right on.
Really late night.
Night.
You should drop it right away. I seen today. I'll throw this shout out there. I kind of like Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio. I think he's a nice guy, great guy. He had announced today on his Facebook page that his mom has taken a turn for the worse. She's been dealing with some health issues for a couple of years, but his dad called him and said, "You got to get home."
Yeah.
So he announced that for the next week, for sure, probably 2 weeks, he's not going to be doing any programming on Space Out Radio. And you're talking about, I mean, he normally has 180 or more live viewers.
Yeah.
And dropping it from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern time. That's a big void that's not going to be there for 2 weeks. So if I was going to start dropping a late night show, I think I'd jump on that right now, because there is a little bit of a niche to fill momentarily.
Right. Yeah. I unfortunately, tomorrow is my Monday. So then I have to wait till I get off. But yeah, I'll definitely start doing that. Feel
Yeah,
that
I
little
think
gap.
that's interesting. And even if there are a couple other shows that are doing it, I mean, it's always amazing to me how many people are up at midnight. I don't even work weekday nights at midnight. And they're watching shows, and you don't realize there's a lot of people in this country that work nights and they sleep during the day, and there's a niche out there for it. It doesn't all have to happen prime time to get an audience.
That's true.
But,
And yeah, you'd get an audience. Absolutely. Well, definitely jump on that, dude. I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. Jeff, thank you.
yeah, thank you. You guys have a good rest of your week, and I will probably say hi to you Thursday night, Tex, if I don't for the weekend. You have a good Halloween.
You too, brother.
We'll see you guys later.
Didn't know what happened.
We'll see you guys later.
All
See
right,
you later,
Jeff,
man.
take care.
You taking lessons from me, Muggs.
Dude, I still push the wrong buttons all the time.
So, man, thanks for having me. Up.
After two and a half years, I'd figured it out, but no,
Right?
still pushing the wrong buttons.
Well, I appreciate
yeah,
you
man.
letting me come up, brother.
It's good to see your channel doing well. As far as you got all the different people doing their different shows. That's cool, man.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad to see that. It's good to see Bob earlier. He stopped on.
Yeah, I saw that.
Sandra stopped on as well. It was funny because I had just clicked on their show real quick, on Bob's show. I was like, oh, what's going on over there? And it was like I had the show in like 10 minutes, so I couldn't hang out and chat.
Right.
And then I was surprised when I came back on. When I came on, he was on. I was like, he was just, I just saw him. Where did he didn't realize his show was finished so quick. But yeah, like I said, don't be a stranger, man.
I won't, man. I'm getting in the groove of things. You'll probably see me more. So
I look forward to it, man.
you probably get tired of me.
Nah. Nope. It's funny because when I started the show today, this earlier, I said I want to see new faces. We kind of get into this rut.
Yeah.
Where you have the same people, and they're basically show hosts, and everybody just makes their little circle, and it's the same people on everybody's show.
Yeah.
And it gets old. I'm not condemning it. It is what it is, but I think we need a little new faces, new stories, new opinions, new whatever.
Little variety.
Yeah. So it was good to see Sandra and Bob and you and everybody that came on tonight. I was like, huh. Because Stevie and I had talked about it. I was just like, yeah, I'd love to see new people here. And sure enough, worked out. All right, buddy. I'm going to say goodnight. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks again.
You bet.
Have a great night.
You too.
Bye. Well, guys, I thought that was a good show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was good to see everybody. That like I said, new faces. It's great to see, new people, old friends that don't come around too much, but it's good to see everybody. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the show, please hit that like button below. If you're new, subscribe, share it. Also, leave comments. I love to read your comments and answer them if I do. I always acknowledge them. I will be back on Thursday. So think now if you want to come on Thursday. Think ahead of time. Say, hey, I might want to pop on. So you'll have that opportunity. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Everybody in chat, you guys are amazing. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Peace and God bless, guys.